We've seen here so far this weekend, good speed. We know that this track is very fast. It has a high average lap speed. But, Paul, we've also seen some good, close, mixing it up. Yeah, they're not racing in practice, but they've been experimenting. They've been evaluating how close they can go, and sometimes we've seen up to 4 wide.
Well, Texas, we saw some really good racing, a lot of good side-by-side racing, and that was the first opportunity the guys had to run this particular aero package. The guys have done their homework. They've got it figured out better. The speeds have been good so far this weekend, and the practices has been really good. A lot of 5, 6, 7 car packs racing together. So this, with the cooler temperatures now, I think this is going to be a pretty good race.
This man here beside me, Steve Matchett, has seen a lot of things around the motorsport world. You've never seen Indycar racing on an oval. What do you make of it?
I think it's absolutely phenomenal, quite frankly. The speeds are truly daunting. And to watch the cars as they circulate around this 2-mile track, to see the loads, the constant loads going through that suspension, it gives me a true appreciation for the work that these mechanics and engineers do. I was watching them doing the final work on the cars this morning, and every little nut, bolt and washer was given attention to detail. It's phenomenal stuff.
Yesterday for qualifying, we had a track temperature of in excess of 140 degrees. It was in the mid-90s. Paul, I'm pleased to say today it's probably about 10 degrees cooler. That's going to be nice for the drivers, yeah?
I put my pants on today. I was a little cold. So, I think it's good. This cloud cover, it's got a nice temperature. It's going to be a little bit easier on the tires. It's going to be a little bit easier wear and tear on the motors. So expect a better reliability. 500 miles is still a long time. There can be possibilities of cars having mechanical trouble, but look for the fast guys up front, the Dixons, the Castro Neves and Montoya. Those are the guys that are going to be fighting it out.
Steve, Paul mentioned a very important word which is key in all of motorsport: reliability. Over 500 miles, which is a magical distance in motor racing. That's going to be key today. Cooler temperatures will help a little bit, but still, this is going to be a grind.
It is going to be a terrible grind for the cars. I mean, as I say, they're going through such high loads, high speeds for such a long while. It is a truly daunting challenge for man and machine alike. Paul is absolutely right. From talking to the engineers and mechanics today, the cooler temperatures will help. There was a lot of concern yesterday about tyre degradation and whether or not the fuel strategy would be, or pit stop strategy would be fuel-led or tyre-led. General consensus seems to be if it's warm and gets warmer than it is now, it will be a tyre-led strategy, which could open up the field enormously.
And you, like me, very relieved that Paul Tracy did put his pants on today.
Oh, you
betcha. But it's almost time to go racing, so we are out of time. Thank you very much for watching IndyCar Live, presented by Verizon. When we come back, we'll run through the grid, we'll show you who did what, and it's time to go racing in Southern California. The 2015 Indycar season has seen, on a warm day in Southern California, we look forward to the MAV TV 500 at Auto Club Speedway Fontana for the 11th round of the 2015 Verizon IndyCar Series. It is warm, it is challenging. This 2-mile track, 250 laps, 500 miles. Whomever wins this event today has truly earned it. Now, it is a little cooler than we expected. It was predicted to be mid to high 90s. Instead, it's high 80s and relatively low humidity. However, this one today will really put the competitors in the Verizon IndyCar Series to the test. Last 3 years, this one has been the season finale, and cooler temperatures at night. Today, there will be a lot of sweat, and our championship leader, Juan Pablo Montoya, he has a healthy lead in this championship. As you look as far as the active drivers in this field, 500 miles, this is a special distance. In the booth with us today, the man who turned the very first laps in 1997 at this very venue, Paul Tracy. What are we looking forward to today, PT?
Well, it's going to be a fast race, that's for sure. The speeds have been up. The competition is tight. The field front to back is very close. Got a lot of cars. You can pull up now with these cars where you don't stall out as much. So it's going to be good racing.
All right, it's time to get things going with the pre-race ceremonies. And the man who will give the very important words has a very familiar voice, name, and sound. And I'll leave it with you as far as that, because you'll enjoy seeing it. We had dinner with him last night. He's looking forward to being here and saying these very important words.
Hi. California race fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in all of sports. Please welcome Motorsports TV legend Dave Despain to give the command.
Racers, start your engines.
Good to see Dave. Good to hear that very familiar and famous voice to give the command. Time to go trackside, pit side. We start.
And Lee, with 500 miles on tap, there'll be at least 6 pit stops today. Now, throw in some caution. You can have 7, 8, 9 times here on pit road. You mentioned yesterday the track temperature 140 degrees. Right now, this pit road is still 123. These crews are going to have to stay cool and make sure there's no mistakes made on pit road. Kevin?
Yeah, not only are teams trying to deal with strategy and downforce levels, but also dealing with this 90-plus degree heat, and maybe even using tools like this right here later in the race, a shop vac, because not only are the engines going to get overheated, debris is going to get in there causing more problems for the engine. They've got blockers and screens on the radiator inlets. They'll tear them off at some point. If they do, they may have to go to the shop vac a little later on to try to keep these engines as cool.
Fit to do it. Now the cloud cover is a welcome relief here in Fontana, but when the sun is out, it is intense. These teams have come prepared. Here at Team Penske, they've even got this mobile air conditioning unit. Robin?
Kelly, I'm standing where pit in. This is where the pit zone starts. You got to be going 60 miles an hour. Pretty easy, right? You're going 215 out of turn 4. You dive off of turn 4. You got to get slowed to 60 miles an hour here. Why are we here? Because this is always one of the biggest challenges for the drivers. Defending champ Tony Kanaan said this is the toughest place coming in off the track because it's so bumpy, it's so rough. We've seen 2 or 3 guys spin coming in here during the years. So I think it's kind of divided right now. Some of the drivers want to pit off the backstretch. Others said, nah, let's go for it coming off 4. So usually a pit stop, which might be kind of an easy thing to watch, is going to be really tricky today. Lee?
Yeah, Robin, we'll keep an eye on that. There's troubles here for one of our rookies, Gabby Chavez, in the Brian Herder Autosport machine. And it looks like it should be a relatively quick fix before Gabby gets going once again. Need to remind you not to miss out on a chance to get in on Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes. I know you'll be very familiar with this. You can simply go to shophonda.com and you could be like today's lucky winner, Jim Adams from Tacoma, Washington, who gets to ride with the legend Mario Andretti in the 2-seater. Hey, Jim, how is it?
Oh, I'm doing great. This is the best experience of my life. I just wanted to say thanks, Leanne, Lexi, and my hoser brother.
Terrific stuff, and congratulations. Enjoy the ride. You are in a very rare club to be able to do that with a legend like Mario, and Jim achieved that by logging on to shophonda.com, winning that opportunity and enjoying that terrific ride. So, cars roll. Let's start getting ready for this 500-miler, the second of 3 this year in the Verizon Indycar Series. We go to the grid with thanks to Mother's Polish, and I need to tell you that Simon Pagenaud gave Team Penske its 12th pole position in the last 13 races, only missing out on the pole position at the Indianapolis 500. That's how strong Team Penske is at the moment.
It's an incredible record, but Scott Dixon is a guy that will challenge today. Will Powers won here in the past. This was a big breakthrough win for him. Look at Kérem. He's up there tight, so he could have a good day as well.
Yeah, some big names a little bit further back as well. Down onto row 8, look, Sebastian Bourdais alongside Ryan Briscoe. These guys, as you roll back through the field, Jack Horsworth down there, also on row 9, they're going to have to be patient and let the race come to them. Again, it is a long, long race, and it will come to you, but you've got to be patient to do it.
You see there no time next to James Jakes. Unfortunately, he lost an engine in final practice and didn't get back out in time to qualify. So in the lead up to this, we're going to call a lot on our onboard cameras, and we start straight away with Graham Rahal with thanks to MyJack Products will give us this view and watch Graham hard at work. He's 5th in the championship at the moment, so there's a lot on the line today for Graham Rahal with thanks to Lucas Oil. Ryan Briscoe, who is still subbing and filling in for the injured James Hinchcliffe, will give us this view aboard the Arrow Schmidt-Peterson machine. Charlie Kimball has really been in the thick of it on ovals this year at the Indianapolis 500 and Texas Motor Speedway. We say thanks to Levemir for providing this insight into Charlie in the cockpit, and the defending winner here, Tony Kanaan. NTT Data gives us this view of the Brazilian legend and veteran, and then of course a man who has enjoyed his time here, a winner in the past just like Tony Kanaan. That's Ed Carpenter carrying the Verizon on board for us today. And speaking of Verizon, you can join this man, Juan Pablo Montoya, the Verizon streaming car, adrenaline on demand. Download the IndyCar 15 mobile app to get amazing live streams from in-car cameras and a whole lot more only from Verizon. Hey Kevin, what's the latest on Gabby Chavez?
The car is fine. It's a radio issue. They had no ability to talk to Gabby Chavez or vice versa, and that is certainly crucial here, so they're going to wait until they can get that fixed.
So what seemed to be, the guys were quite casual at the front of the cars. Now they're sort of in more of a panic and a rush. And Stefano Coletti was also on pit lane. So troubles for 2 of our rookies in the field.
Well, you certainly cannot get around this racetrack with the type of racing that we're going to have with no radio.
No.
The not only to get into the pits, you can't see your pit board from the racetrack, and it's going to be crucial as we're getting ready here.
The spotters are above us here, and the drivers rely on it. This is the MAV TV 500, round 11 of the Verizon IndyCar Series. Simon Pagenaud, for the first time in his career, leads the field to green on an oval. It's plenty of Penske up front, but look at Marco Andretti. He told Robin before his car was almost too good to believe, and he goes straight to the lead. Andretti leads in California. They're sorting themselves out early. Our pole sitters dropped to 3rd. Look at that yellow Penske truck rental car. Pagenaud looking to dive in there. Elio Castro Neves is in there. Everybody keen to get to the front early.
Everybody looking racy as Elio makes a move down the inside of Marco. Marco coming back on the draft. Montoya pulling up. Kanaan. It's a pack race.
Boy,
this is good stuff.
It really is. And look at Montoya taking it on the right to the top.
3 wide. Look at this. The points leader and Indy 500 winner is in the mix. Now Kanaan wants in the action.
Kanaan is in the action as well, right alongside Montoya, and they again 3 wide.
Well, if you wondered if we were going to have a good race today, this is what it's going to be like for 500 miles.
Wow.
Here it is. And Dixon on the high side. Through comes Ed Carpenter in the middle in the fuzzy Chevrolet. Sorting themselves out on the opening lap. And all of a sudden, whoa! Ed Carpenter almost collided with Kanaan.
Now they're starting to sort out a little bit. Guys are starting to run the high line. Montoya down on the bottom. You can't run the bottom for too long. You'll use up your front tires as guys are now pushing it down towards the bottom here. Pagenaud has gone from 1st to nearly 10th in the span of 1 lap.
Boy, a lot of different lines being tried around here. You can run low for so long, but you really need a lot of downforce to be able to stay low.
Marco Andretti in third, trying to push his way through the middle. Here comes Kanaan, his old teammate, takes the high line. Kanaan sweeps around Andretti. On board with Montoya.
Montoya still stopping down low and now getting up to the top. Right to the track. Wow, this is fantastic racing in the opening few laps.
These guys are driving very, very aggressive. Look at this, 3 wide, 3 wide, 2 wide, 3 wide. And there's no question that people want to lead the race and not fuel mileage race right now. They're all battling. This whole group just wants to lead.
Well, we're talking about one of the ways to win this race is be patient and let that race come to you. I don't think any of the drivers have been taking any care of that at all.
And there is another rookie who's arriving on the scene. Look for a white and red car. It's Sage Karam, the 20-year-old American, is in the mix. Look at him right center of screen there, coming up on the veterans.
Munoz on the bottom came from a big toe in the back, and he passed about 3 cars going into turn 3, and he's still on the bottom moving forward.
Helio Castro Neves, Juan Pablo Montoya, Marco Andretti, Ed Carpenter, and the blue car is Kanaan. The orange and black car is Scott Dixon, and his teammates coming up on the inside of him, Sage Karam.
Back on board with Kanaan. Montoya taking the draft from up front and now trying to find his way around. There's Montoya now right in the middle of our picture. 3 wide.
How many times do you think we're going to say that today? How many times have we seen it already?
Look at the speed of these cars. This is absolutely awesome.
And as all these guys are fighting, and Castro Neves has been able to pull out a little bit of a comfortable lead. Whoa!
Montoya hit Kanaan. He just tapped him, front left, rear right. Montoya had to get out of it. Kanaan stayed in it. Check this out. Watch this. On board with the points leader and Indy 500 winner. Just got that rear pod.
That is very, very lucky, and that's not a situation that you ever see Montoya get himself into. He has a 90% finish rate in 500-mile events.
Yeah.
On the high line is Scott Dixon, car 9. There he goes, rounding up JPM. Biggest mover, incidentally, so far very early on in this race after 7 laps is Ryan Briscoe. He's made up 11 positions.
He was very, very strong in Texas. He had a good setup, ended up finishing well. Took off for Le Mans, had a huge disappointment in Le Mans, wasn't able to compete, so he's come back here now, and he's got the bit between his teeth as he's pulling up on Kanaan now.
Marco Andretti takes the lead of the race yet again around Helio Castro Neves. Look at Briscoe, there he is, nicely positioned in 4th, right behind Tony Kanaan. Kanaan dives on the inside of Helio Castro Neves, and Briscoe wants a piece of this action nice and early. Qualifying didn't go quite so well. The race has started brilliantly. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Steak and Shake, home of the original steak burger, proud sponsor of number 15, Graham Rahal.
Auto Club Speedway, where the racing is intense. It's racing and intensity up front. Well, what about Simon Pagenaud, who started at the front, now drifting back, battling? He was just battling with Sato. Checked in with Kyle Moyer, who's on the radio to Simon, said, is there a problem? He said, no. He has never pack raced before, so he's easing into the process. A lot of these other drivers have spent time pack racing. All new for Simon Pagenaud.
And that's the kind of thing you would expect from Pagenaud. Very heads-up driving as we see Ryan Briscoe, that gold car down the bottom, filling in for the injured mayor of Hinchtown, James Hinchcliffe, who's at home watching right now. Hello, Hinch. I'm sure you're pleased to see Briscoe doing the job he's doing early on. Need to tell you, too, that Tony Kanaan has just been warned, PT, for not holding his line.
Yeah, there's been a lot of moving around and kind of jostling around, and it's interesting, this pack racing that we're talking about with Simon not having the experience. Another guy that doesn't have a lot of experience with this in an IndyCar pack racing is Montoya, but tons of experience in a stock car pack racing at Daytona, so he looks comfortable. Simon, his teammate, feeling it out.
Ryan Briscoe up 14 places from the start of this race. That's an incredible performance. You could just see how busy Briscoe was in the cockpit, changing the weight jack around the car to try and get this car to work well, but a great move.
And that's the way it's been going for Ryan Briscoe this season. He hasn't qualified well. Thought they'd be much better yesterday, but we went from 31st to 12th in Indianapolis. And Sage Kérem looks to go around Briscoe's outside there. He also had a good finish from 19 to 8 at Texas. He thinks the car is really good, and he can run up front all day, Kelly.
Well, I had a couple of these drivers tell me these 500-mile races were all about patience. Not sure how much of that they exercised here at the start, but Tony Kanaan, who's battling Marco Andretti for the lead of this race, he told me he expected the top 7 or 8 guys, who all are very experienced, to work together at the start of this race to separate themselves from the rest of the group, and that separation's maybe forming a little bit, but I think they expected it to happen sooner.
Racing lap 18 of 250, Tony Kanaan in the NTT data car puts his nose in front. Here comes Marco Andretti, long-time teammates in the Andretti organization. They know each other's driving style and characteristics so well. Marco goes back to the front. Briscoe, Castro Neves. Take a look at this. Watch the 8 car, the rookie. Sage Kérem, the red and white car. Check it out, check it out.
And as you can see, he was riding that seam line that is in the middle of there's 5 grooves. He caught that seam and made the car wiggle. So that was a good save and something to be learned. As you watch these other guys, they do not ride on that seam. They keep about 2 inches up off of it with their bottom wheels.
Talking to the engineers, PT, this morning, as they were preparing the cars for the race, and to a man they were saying, stay off those seams, you don't want to get anywhere near them.
Yeah, when I talk about the seams, what I'm talking about is this line right here that goes through the corner. You do not want to put your wheels on that line. It'll make the car slide around. So that's one thing the experienced guys know.
Yeah, wow, there's not an awful lot of space here for Montoya to push this car through.
Ed Carpenter in the fuzzy Chevrolet on the low side. You're talking about 6th and 7th here.
Now, as Carpenter moves down, that's opened up a little bit of space for Montoya to get through, but boy, that was close at one point. Andretti still leading lap 19.
Oh, Castro Neves on the inside of Briscoe, right down on the white line.
Briscoe wanted that line. He didn't want Castro Neves to have that bottom line.
Whoa!
Sage Kérem come around the outside with a big run.
Wow, be aware. You have to be aware of who's around you at 200+ miles an hour.
Settle down, son. Settle down. You got a long way to go. Keep your cool. This kid is super fast. Everybody expects him to be a race winner at some point in his career, but he's got to keep it cool.
Robin, I know that you almost choked then when you heard Paul Tracy say keep your cool, but he did, and he means it.
Lee, I hope you're keeping a diary of some of the things he says this year. First of all, Honda never led a lap at the Indy 500. They might have led one during the yellow, but a lot of the Honda teams have the same engine they had in for Indy, and they thought they had something for Chevrolet at Indianapolis. It didn't materialize, but you've got Marco leading the race. You've got Briscoe storming to the front, so maybe Honda's got a chance here, and they don't need rain.
What kind of speeds are we talking about? 208, 209, 210 miles per hour. And they're as close as they are, front to back, side to side. And there's a 20-year-old American rookie running third, car number 8. The Big Machine Records entry for Sage Karam. There's one thing that Chip Ganassi, Mike Hull, the drivers at the Chip Ganassi Racing will tell you. This young American kid is not scared.
He's not scared. No, he really is getting very, very close to the cars around him now, right alongside Andretti and on the gearbox of Kanaan. Andretti taking the lower line, Kanaan staying high, but you can't stay low too long. You will scrub those tires off.
He grew up around motorsport. He grew up around IndyCar racing. His dad was Michael Andretti's physical therapist and trainer for many, many years. It was almost like this kid was born to be an IndyCar racer. He's an Indy Lights champion. He's not running a full season with the Ganassi team, but when he does, he's been impressive.
Yes, he's been very impressive as he makes a move now on Marco. He should pull up now and get in the draft of his teammate, solidify a spot, but he's not doing what I say. He's trying to go for the lead.
He wants a little bit of glory early on as we race lap 24 here at Auto Club Speedway Fontana.
You know, he's been under a little bit of pressure, that's for sure, because he's had he's had some not good races in his debut, and his teammate that has filled in, Saavedra, has done actually quite a good job in the car and had a couple of nice finishes, as this will be the first lap of Sage Karam's young career that he leads.
Wow, and there he is. Yeah, 24 laps covered. Sage Karam up front.
Side by side with Kanaan now. Last year's winner here in Fontana.
Oh, don't push your teammate like that. Your veteran teammate's not going to like it if you start pushing him up towards the wall.
Picking up the toe again from Kanaan ahead. And PT, what we were talking about in practice, you can get a good toe here, but as soon as you pull out from that lead car, you feel that block of air.
Yeah, you definitely do, but these cars seem to pull through the air. As you see, he pulls up alongside much better than the older car. You would really stall out. As you see, he pulls by. So these cars do draft a little bit better than the older version car.
Let's keep an eye on the tire wear and tire management that these guys must appreciate, although they've been doing some very, very frantic racing around here. You could probably push these cars to around mid-30s on fuel, but I wonder whether or not they're going to get that far before the tires give up.
As we're sitting here watching this on the edge of our seat, what do you think Dario Franchitti's thinking right now? He's in San Francisco hanging out. He's not here this weekend, but I'm sure he's watching. What do you think, Lee?
Officially the driver consultant slash coach of Chip Ganassi's squad. He'll be saying, this is interesting. This is a good one. Those bright yellow, fluorescent yellow decals and numbers on the back of the lead car designated a rookie. A rookie leads in Fontana. quick reminder that you can watch today's IndyCar race online at NBCSports.com on mobile and tablets with NBC Sports Live Extra, anytime, anywhere. Lovely to have you with us today from Auto Club Speedway Fontana. It is a warm, to say the least, summer day here in Southern California. Tony Kanaan, as you rejoin us, leads the way over his Ganassi teammate and rookie driver Sage Karam. Marco Andretti, who has been strong. Marco comes up the inside there to grab second place away from Sage Karam. In the background as well, Montoya, Carpenter Power. Briscoe has dropped off the pace a little bit as we provide you with some facts of Auto Club Speedway Fontana. It's been around ever since 1997, built by the legend Roger Penske. He no longer owns it. And of course, perhaps the biggest claim to fame for this place, our old friend Gilles de Ferran continues to hold the closed course speed record at 241 miles per hour. Just incredible.
Stefano Coletti is going to come in, one of the earliest to do so. He was on the pit lane before the race started. It was because they were uncertain if their caution light was working on the car to alert others and alert him on board. All is good. Coletti back out, dealing with some oversteer issues.
Third oval in Coletti's IndyCar career. Of course, Indy and then Texas Motor Speedway now here in Fontana. And all of a sudden, arriving on the scene is another Penske driver, car number 1, the reigning IndyCar champion, Will Power.
We saw Kanaan drop down to the white line. I think he's going to pit this lap. That's kind of the signal to everybody else that he's coming as we see Kanaan pull off into the pits.
Munoz getting serviced at Andretti Autosport. And here is Kanaan. Kelly Stavist is standing by. Kel?
The defending race winner, Tony Kanaan, coming in. He's only reported being a little bit loose down there on bottom. The team had encouraged him to work with his rookie teammate Sage Karam there for a short time. He comes in now from the lead. As we see, they'll give him 4 fresh tires, fill him up with Sunoco fuel. Pit stops are crucial in this 500-mile race, as we expect to see about 7 of them. That one looked smooth.
Green flag stops beginning, and it's literally just that, just the beginning. And unfortunately, you will go down a lap here just because of the immense speed, and the pit stop delta is around about 40-odd seconds. So let's talk Briscoe. Kevin, tell us more.
Well, he shot to the front, and nearly an issue with the car of Pippa Mann. She nearly slid into the guys for the 5 team, but no harm. She keeps going. Briscoe is in. He has slipped back to 10th position. A nice quick pit stop for the Schmidt-Peterson team.
8 seconds on the clock, 8.5 seconds before, so a lot of fuel going in these cars. Marco Andretti into the pits, and quite a few of the drivers now we're hearing complaining of oversteer.
Oh, big lockup back there for the Dale Coyne car. That's something you have to be really careful getting on here. It's easy to blow the speed limit. Kevin?
Marco Andretti in, 4th time here, and he's led all 4 times. They want it to be sunny. You see him taking a turn of front wing right now. Michael Andretti said, we're set up for sunshine, and it is sunny now, Kelly.
Ed Carpenter, who started for us, said he's got a little bit of understeer, but he's okay. Gave him a half a turn of front wing.
Great race off pit road there between Sage Karam and Marco Andretti. Whoa, Pagano, he almost hit his Penske teammate. Juan Pablo Montoya. You got 4 Penske cars all in at once.
Team tactic here. They're all pitted very close to each other. Castro Neves came in completely locked up sideways, so this will be a very interesting stop. Who's the best?
And as you say, all 3 stopping at the same time, and not the angle that he wants. Oh, this is going to be tough. Got the tires on. Montoya's the first to roll, then Pagano, but of course Power. But the angle that he got in there lost that, at least to his team cars.
And an issue here for Elio Castroneves. It was a long delayed pit stop. It looked like they had an issue getting him going again, getting him restarted. I'll find out what the issue was, but it was a long, costly pit stop for Elio Castroneves.
2 of the 4 Penske cars, it was a pit stop to forget. Howard is coming in and locking up and understeering in towards the wall. Here is Takuma Sato. Reasonable start for the Honda driver from AJ Foyt Racing in the ABC car. He's now sent. Dixon sent. It is frantic. Green flag stops.
You know, you can afford to have a pit stop mistake on your first pit stop, but if you have a mistake like that at the end of the race, as we see Sato chops off Dixon in the warm-up lane, you can't afford to have one of those in the last couple stops.
No, and that, I think Will Power really did dodge a bullet there. He was very close to hitting the left front tire changer in his pit stop there as he came off the asphalt and onto the concrete and just lost the grip as the traction changed. Wow.
All right, look at Juan Pablo Montoya as he dives ahead of Sage Karam. This is as he's coming in. Will Power ahead, and behind him is Simon Pagenaud, who goes to the left to avoid collecting car number 2, the points leader. It was crazy. This is Pagenaud on the right.
Yeah, he's very lucky not to hit that Sunoco board there where the pit lane speed limit starts.
60 miles per hour they've got to address.
They can't get the fuel. They can't get the fuel plugged in. They took 3 stabs at it to get the fuel going, and it looked like it was out of fuel as well. So
dire pit stop. Here is the power stop. Look how close the left front wheel is to the left front wheel changer. Could hardly get enough room to get the rim off and the new rim back on the car. Meanwhile, look at the action on track between Kanaan
and these two have spent a long time racing together in their career. They were teammates for a long time. They're very comfortable with each other. This whole front group, other than Pagenaud, has a lot of experience racing together.
Oh, there's drama here. What's happening, Kevin? Tristan Vautier and the Dale Coyne team.
And unfortunately, we're once again talking about a Dale Coyne crew member that has been contacted by a car. I haven't seen an Aura replay, but I'm told that Tristan Vautier came in and made contact with one of his crew members. He is awake and alert, but he's been put on a backboard. This is at least the 3rd time this year a Coyne crew member has been hit and had to seek medical care during the race.
Oh boy. And look at the top of your screen. Top of your screen is going to be the front left changer. Oh! Just that front wing got him right in the knee.
Yeah, that is not a good situation. More than likely has done some knee damage, maybe possibly a broken leg, but that's the worst case scenario when a guy is on his knees waiting for the car to come to a stop next to him and the front wing collects the guy and just takes it out from underneath of him.
Yeah, the mechanics have to have 100% confidence in their driver that the driver will stop absolutely inch perfect.
All right, let's reset the order for you. Marco Andretti leads the way over Juan Pablo Montoya. There's a lap car down there. That is Pippa Mann, who's in the mix. Sage Karam is still in that SC red and white car. Simon Pagenaud, Takuma Sato. Let's ride on board with Kanaan. There's Dixon. Dixon's got ahead of him.
Juan Pablo Montoya wants to lead. He has led in every single 500-mile race he has ever competed in, and he takes the lead right there.
Remember what we told you at the top of the show, Steve. 500 miles and Juan Pablo Montoya equals successful partnership.
Yeah, Montoya is one of those guys. I mean, he's had tremendous success in 500-mile races. Of course, we know he has, but this year he's really back on form. And remember, it was Montoya that was saying, patience, patience, let the race come to you. We're on lap 37. Juan Pablo Montoya is leading this race.
Pole sitter Simon Pagenaud in the 22 Penske entry, that yellow car there, trying to round up Takuma Sato and has to get out of it. Sato surging forward. This could be the Japanese driver's day. Takuma Sato, the 38-year-old Japanese driver, racing for the legend AJ Foyt, and he takes the lead of the MAV TV 500 here at Auto Club Speedway while we're away. And this Honda is looking good. But look on the high side, Scott Dixon comes right up and around one. Pablo Montoya 3 wide, Andretti on the low side, Montoya in the middle, and Dixon, who raced Sato off pit road but lost that race, has been chasing him ever since.
Scott Dixon has just been going frantic further back down the field to try and find his way past the cars ahead of him to take that fight to Sato. Dixon down to the bottom, up to the top, in the middle, trying to find that line, and now finally gets into P2 right behind Sato.
A veteran of almost 100 Formula One Grand Prix, has been in Indycar for a handful of years now, and this is how he took the lead over Montoya.
Nice pass over Montoya. It's first time he's been in the lead this year. Scott Dixon, as we see him running here, I spoke to his crew guy. They did a scheduled motor change before qualifying, so they were expecting that the motor was going to come into its sweet spot within 100, 200 miles, and it wouldn't be its best for qualifying, but now it's coming in now. He's going.
Dixon drops down low, gets that move around Sato. Sato up high, trying to find that line to take that fight back to Dixon, but Dixon's away.
Hey boys, just like that, there's the first 100 miles.
That's unbelievably fast. Lap 51. We are pushing on so strong with this race. It's unbelievably fast.
So, it's a Chevy, it's a Honda. There's another Honda. 2 of the top 3, Robin Miller, are Honda-powered cars. This manufacturer deserves and desperately needs a dramatic turnaround.
Lee, the big story since May was, will Honda be back in 2016? And I think they've made it clear they will be back for 2016, but the big real question is, what about after the 100th Indy 500? So the most important thing to remember here is they're looking at trying to come back in 2017. They're working with IndyCar. There's a couple of things about the rules I think that they're trying to get sorted out. So they haven't signed yet for 2017. It'll be a good day for IndyCar if Honda stays, because if you lose a partner like that, there's nobody out there to take your place, John.
And a great battle up front between a Chevrolet and a Honda. Of course, the Chevrolet is Scott Dixon, and that shows you what 1/2 turn of front wing will do to you. He had a bit of understeer in the first stint. They came in and get him a 1/2 turn, and Scott Dixon has rocketed right to the front.
8 leaders, 19 lead changes in the first 100 miles of the race. Kelly?
Takuma Sato, who is now battling back with Scott Dixon for the lead. He qualified 9th, but he was 5th quick in practice yesterday, and afterwards he was really frustrated by that. He said, I'm not satisfied with 5th. I didn't come here to run 5th. I came here to win this race. Well, they found a suspension package they liked. They found an aero package they liked. They didn't have time to try the two together yesterday. They're doing it here in the race, and it seems to be paying off.
Scott Dixon, what a fantastic move on Sato. Dropped in behind Sato's car to pick up that little bit of the toe, then came out and tried to make that move again. Here he does it again. Paul trying to do exactly the same. Pick up that toe and now pull out and see if he can make the move on Sato. Drops down low. Here it is. Can he do it?
And this has been incredible racing so far. These guys haven't had this type of pack racing, wheel to wheel, side by side, in a couple years. The series has wanted to spread things out a little bit more, but I think right now they have really found a good balance, and this is great racing.
It really, really is. Scott Dixon, you've got to get after him. Sato's opened up and now managed to open up a bit of a gap. And I think Paul, wow.
Briscoe Canaan, and in the middle is the rookie Sage Karam. Let's ride with Briscoe.
Shifting gears. He's up to 6th gear. You'll probably see him do a little downshift here as he slides by his X car, the Team Ganassi car, as Sage comes back on the high side.
Take a look at this Sage Kérem in the red and white car. He's getting higher and higher and higher up into the grey. Briscoe and Canaan, they say, right, let's take advantage of this.
Whew,
and all of a sudden, Ed Carpenter's back on the scene.
It is just relentlessly. The pace of this race is relentless. Lap 57 already.
Sato, Juan Pablo Montoya, Ed Carpenter, Scott Dixon, Marco Andretti, Tony Kanaan, Sage Kérem, Ryan Briscoe. Where's our pole sitter? Simon Pagenaud's back there in 9th and Will Power 10th.
You see Ed Carpenter looking on Montoya, keeping off that seam. He's got Dixon down below him, keeping off the seam. The cars behind are 2 by 2 by 2. As they start to pull up again now, you see go to the outside. Both cars making a move on the outside on the high side. The high side seems to be the faster line to get by a guy.
Paul, I just telestrated there this little extra wing, the wheel pod wing that a lot of the cars are running, but only on the left-hand side of the car. There's nothing on the right here, just to give a little bit more extra downforce here, as the natural tendency is the car is to roll away to that side of the track. But all those tiny little bits of extra downforce on the car, they make all that difference. And if you can find that sweet spot in the downforce, you can do exactly this. Run high, then drop down low. But if you're down low, you've got to have downforce on the car.
Dixon, Montoya, Canaan, 3 abreast. We've got an AJ Foyt ABC supply car out in front. Kelly Stavis, that must be making Supertex delighted.
Yeah, well, and it's AJ's son Larry here who's calling the shots here for Takuma Sato. And Larry, after what I imagine to be a frustrating, difficult start to this season, to see Takuma leading this race, holding off the likes of Scott Dixon, Juan Pablo Montoya, what's it like watching this?
No, I think the team's done a great job after Indy. You know, had some good finishes, and it's this is a place we've struggled at, except for last year we thought we found something, and today Takuma's doing a great job, and ABC cars up front looks good.
How about the progress you all have made in the Hondas? You've really closed the gaps with the Chevys. How did you do it?
Yeah, the Hondas look really good here. They've done a good job. I mean, that's one thing is they don't give up. They're keeping working hard, and everybody's working, the teams and Honda. So, no, it looks good today.
All right, thank you. We'll let him get back to watching his racer, Takuma Sato, lead this race.
He's had a couple of top 10s. It's his 4th start. He's never been in such a prominent position like this, though. Sato really looking good. Perhaps it was a trip home to Japan that was the medicine he was looking for. He got back to see his wife and children for the first time in the majority of the season in this past weekend off. It's been a hectic 2015 Verizon IndyCar Series schedule. Dixon again on the inside of Ed Carpenter. 2 Chevrolets side by side, and we ride with Carpenter.
Looks like it's been really difficult to pull off a pass on the bottom. Just the high line just seems to have a little bit more momentum and a little bit more speed as we see Canaan come up around the high side. The guys are having a little bit of difficulty pulling it off on the bottom.
He's got Canaan with him.
Tell you who's arrived back on the scene, guys, is Elio Castro Neves. Despite that lengthy pit stop,
There's
Elio is coming back.
Look at that high line. The high line, he just goes around. He's been trying for 5 laps on the bottom, and he finally got the room on the outside and carried the momentum around.
Yeah. Here's Castro Neves on the inside of Tony Kanaan. Meanwhile, they're chasing the Honda of Takuma Sato. Quick reminder, you can be a part of Honda's Fastest Seat in Sports sweepstakes by going to shophonda.com. Sign up to enter for a chance to start a Verizon IndyCar Series race. No purchase is necessary, but lots of bravery is necessary, and that's what is the deal here today. Almost 3 wide into turn 1 there. Tony Kanaan now we climb aboard with.
Got the air chopped off of him there. He wanted that high line, but with Ed had Castro Neves below him, so that kind of closed it off as we see Canaan go to the high side and Castro Neves go way down to the bottom, nearly 70 feet away from him.
I remember several years ago when the legend, the man who holds the fastest record here at 241 miles per hour, Gilles de Ferran, was part of the NBC Sports team at Indy Pole Day, and Gilles said, look, I tell you, he's a friend of mine, he was a competitor of mine, he was a teammate of mine. Elio Castro Neves can almost do what nobody else can down on the low side, down on the white line of an oval track. He is a master at it. And again, Elio showing us right here at Auto Club Speedway Fontana. Sato unfazed by the pack that's chasing him. AJ Foyt's driver, leads the way here in California. You're watching IndyCars on your home of motorsport, NBCSN, and yes, why not? Let's have a different race leader, a new race leader. Tony Kanaan is back at the front, and look who's arrived on the scene, that yellow and white Penske truck rental machine. It's Simon Pagenaud, the pole sitter. He said earlier he was just being conservative, settling into a rhythm, not doing anything too desperate too early, and the Frenchman has worked his way up to third. He may be losing that there, and he's struggling in arm wrestling for that fourth spot. Kelly?
Helio Castroneves running 7th comes in to make his pit stop. Remember the troubles that they had fueling last time through that cost them several positions with a long pit stop. They'll be hoping for better this time around. He's asked for some more front wing. They gave him a turn last time. He's asking for more. He's got understeer in turns 1 and 2. And it was a quick one, Young.
And for Sebastian Bourdais, he also wants a wing change at the front of his car while he receives some service. He's got that back underway. Again, the changes down here have been fairly small. We hear half turn here, small tire pressure change as Tony Kanaan will come in to have some changes as well.
And as you'll see, they are diving to pit road off turn 4. Last year, it was entering it, heading into 3. You may remember Helio Castroneves, who was fighting for the title, lost control of his car and drifted back up over the white line and onto the racing surface. So with that in mind, Brian Barnhart, race director, and the race officialdom decided we're going to head back to pitting off turn 4. So Kanaan serviced and set. Here comes the pack. Sato, Pagenaud and Dixon. Briscoe is in.
60 miles an hour down pit lane. Stop number 2 for Ryan Briscoe, who's been able to hang in the top 10. By the way, Sam Schmidt did confirm to me yesterday that Ryan Briscoe will be in the car the rest of the season until James Hinchcliffe can return, which is probably not expected the rest of the season. Good stop for Briscoe and another strong race for him so far today.
Well, listen, speaking of James Hinchcliffe, I exchanged a text message with him this morning. He wanted to say thank you to everybody, all of the fans, all of the IndyCar community. He's getting stronger day by day. He has been allowed to return to physical exercise in the gym. He does have one more surgery left, but he said he's getting stronger and stronger and wants to thank everybody every day.
This will be a crucial pit stop for Takuma Sato. He had an air pressure adjustment last time around. No changes for him this time. He's pitting, and you'll see the 8 car behind him. So we'll see how he comes out in comparison to Kérem. And it was a clean one for Sato. He easily beats him out.
So we see Sage burning out of the pits. More cars coming in the back, all locked up. We have 2 of the Penske's that had trouble on the last pit stops coming in together. Montoya and his teammate Pagenaud.
And for Juan Pablo Montoya, just like last time, he's got Pagenaud ahead of him. We see Dixon as well. They're all getting service. We're keeping an eye at the moment on Montoya to see if they make any changes. They've decided for no. They're just waiting for fuel. There goes Dixon. And Dixon had some trouble. Dixon had some trouble getting up to speed, and he's losing positions on the pit exit.
Yeah, he lost 2 or 3 positions there. Just bogged down, couldn't get the car going.
He was the first to leave. He was on the power and leaving, but then it fell on its face on the limiter. It looks like as we see Power come to the pit lane.
Will Power into the pits. Remember that awful pit stop before. There's the problem. A lot of it, look, is just this different surface from the pit lane coming here where the stalls are set up onto the concrete, and there is a dramatic loss of traction when the car, there it is again, look, you see on the way out, you can see it, how less the car will grip from those tyres when it's on that concrete.
I shouldn't be surprised because I see you do it week in, week out when we're calling Formula One, but you love your telestrator, don't you?
I do.
You love your Mr. Squiggly.
I do. It's become quite a firm friend.
All right, Power is out. That's a nice stop. Look at that. Here comes Canaan, Castro Neves. What a race we are witnessing today in California. Caution free. It has been green. It has been flat out from the wave of the green.
Power on that pit stop exchange went from 3rd or 4th now to the lead. So nice, clean stop versus the last stop has put him out into the lead.
This is moments ago on board with Juan Pablo Montoya. Keep an eye out here. Pagenaud to the low side. Whoa, a catch. This is heading in for that stop. That's what I was telling you about before. Exiting off turn 4 to pit entry. You've seen a lot of lock-up today, addressing the speed, getting it down to 60 miles per hour. Watch this. Carpenter around Dixon.
Wow.
Problems with that pit lane speed limiter sent Scott backwards.
He was the meat in the sandwich on that one.
And you know what? We've been getting reports. It's been a very animated Scott Dixon on the radio today. He's been a little hot under the collar.
That's very unlike him. He's very cool, very calm. And he wants this race. He wants this championship. He's been in his mid-season form and definitely going for it today.
Power down low, makes that move on Castro Neves, picks up the lead of the race. Castro Neves also picks up the toe and drops down low. But look at this, Canaan taking that high line, going right around the outside, now neck and neck with Power.
Look at the run that Castro Neves had on the bottom. Man, he just had a phenomenal corner. Was able to gap those guys on the corner as we see Power pull up on the draft now.
On an oval.
Almost touching.
On an oval, is it going to be another Penske versus Ganassi war? Penske, of course, won out at the Indianapolis 500 with Juan Pablo Montoya. Chip Ganassi had the last laugh at Texas Motor Speedway as we take you to our Chevy driver update, and it gives us a look at the top Chevy drivers, and very well represented. Takuma Sato, the only one upsetting that there. And there goes Takuma Sato, right by Tony Kanaan.
I'll tell you what, it's not going to be a Penske Ganassi show if Foyt has anything to say about it. He's been really, really quick today. So
look at
back
this
to
pack.
the front,
Look at the
4 wide.
Pagenaud on the white line, Ed Carpenter up against the wall.
So many of these guys, Lee, being able to find traction and stay down low and make that move. Yes, it's the shortest way around an oval, of course, but you need to put the wing on. But boy, oh boy, there are lines all over this track.
Well, listen, I think at this stage, and Paul Tracy, you're the one with the true qualifications to say so, but the general conduct out there has been good. It has been at a very high standard, no silly moves, well-respected driving techniques.
Well, it's been aggressive. I wouldn't say, and nobody's pussyfooting around. The guys are going high, they're going low, the cars are moving around, they're sliding a little bit on these seams, so there has been moving around on the cars, which is very dramatic to watch.
Scott Dixon has been able to recover somewhat on the racetrack, but of course when he was leaving the pits, I just checked in with the team, he said he had a problem with the buttons. In fact, he was saying on the radio he was having an issue with the clutch. Let's listen in.
My group top 4 right here. You good? You good? What happened?
Make it
note, we got to move the clutch pedal. Clutch pedal, we got to move it extreme. Copy that, Scott.
And what that means is that he had an issue working the buttons because he had to reach around and get the clutch. The good news is that means on the next stop he can make an adjustment. There's no mechanical issue. It's just the way his hands are positioned on the wheel.
Great stuff, Jan. Thank you very much. Look at this. Oh, teammates side by side. Down low is Helio Castro-Neves. Power is in the middle of the track. Sato is in the middle of the pack. We've got drivers pitting and drivers fighting for the lead of this race. How about it? Watching the MAV TV 500 here on NBCSN. What a race we are enjoying today. Lee Diffie, Paul Tracy, Steve Matchett with you here at Auto Club Speedway Fontana. Robin Miller, Kelly Stavis, Jan Beekers, Kevin Lee working hard on pit lane on a hot pit lane. Warm summer day here in California. 3 visits to this state this year. Of course, we had Long Beach earlier in the year. 2 visits back to California in the summertime. This is the first of them, and the season finale will be at Sonoma Raceway later in the year. These 2 guys were fighting for the championship last time we were at this track. That's Will Power and Helio Castro-Neves, and coming through on that mid-line is Takuma Sato, who has led 24 laps in this race. The ABC supply car for AJ Foyt Racing will not go away. Hey guys, I tell you what, somebody who is starting to move up slowly on the scene is Andretti Autosport's Ryan Hunter-Reay. The champ and the Indy 500 winner runs 11th at the moment. There he is in the DHL Honda.
He's been frustrated so far. He started way in the back, and he's very unhappy with how the performance of the car has been this year, but he's steadily moving forward now. There's a long way to go. We're not even halfway into this race, Steve, and he's working his way towards this front group now.
Yeah, he's coming through, it is, and you're right, we're not halfway. But it's been so fast and frantic, Paul, hasn't it, really? We're already at 89, but remember, 250 laps. There is a long way to go.
You got to remember this, fellas. Graham Rahal didn't qualify well either. He stormed right to the front. He's in the lead pack. He's gone from 10th to 7th in the last few laps. What's interesting, though, is he doesn't have a deal for next year. His dad's got him out looking for sponsorship. Steak and Shake likes him. Maxim likes him. They've been on the car this year. He's trying to put enough money together to have a two-car team next year and stay with his team and his dad next year, Kevin.
Sage Kérem not long ago was fighting for the lead. Now he's back in the 15th position. The handling of the car has gone away. The last pit stop, they wanted to make a change, but he missed his mark coming in, and they couldn't make the front wing adjustment. Right now, he cannot run side by side. He's trying to work with his teammate Charlie Kimball to run in line and try to catch back up to the pack.
And when you see these cars, folks, at home, 2, 3, and 4 wide, don't get complacent. This is at 210 miles an hour. 3 abreast as we ride with Briscoe. Sato on the high side. They swoop around the outside, either side of the points leader, Juan Pablo Montoya. Average lap speed to point is 205. That's the average for this race thus far.
So we see Ed Carpenter's on board, nice and steady, not too much action in the steering wheel. Comfortable. I think he's just right now content to ride, make fuel mileage. As we talk about Graham Rahal a second ago, you know, yesterday when he qualified, Steve, you were shaking your head when he said he was happy with how he qualified, which was like 3rd to last, and you were like, how is he going to make up all that difference? So look at him now.
Yeah, it was incredible. It absolutely was. Yesterday I was saying, well, I'm not really that concerned by the pace. I think the race will be a very different kettle of fish, if you like, and it really is.
We were talking to Eddie Jones this morning, Steve, weren't we? His engineer.
Yeah.
And he said, look, I think we've got a good race car. It didn't work out in qualifying, but I think we've got a good, decent race car.
Qualifying trim and race trim are very different. There's a lot more downforce on the cars now to try and keep the cars stable and protect those tyres. And absolutely, it is going his way. Castroneves still
on the top.
Castroneves still leads this race. 92 laps complete. Power going to the left, going to the right, and again now running slightly low, trying to find his way around.
Jan, let's talk about car number 1, Will Power. This track has broken his heart a couple of times, but last year it was the place where he finally won his first IndyCar Series championship.
Yes, and he said that the win that he had the previous year was his most gratifying victory ever as he battles with his teammate to the high side. See, Will Power likes that high line. He's trying to save his tires and stay high. He has not been comfortable this weekend at all. He only qualified 8th, and that's something for Will Power. But David Faustino, his engineer, said we have to make him comfortable. We started the race conservatively. Now we're starting to take the downforce out, and the Will Power we've come to know is now getting up to speed.
Will Power is trying to find that move again on Castroneves, running low, running high, trying to find that transmission to pick up the toe. But don't forget, in 3rd place, Sato is also trying to find his way past. Sato right now on the gearbox of Castroneves looking for his line.
Keep an eye on that gold car. Down on the low side of Tony Kanaan, it's Ryan Briscoe. Let's ride.
It's just incredible. We're 95 laps into this race, and we've been basically 3 abreast from the start to up until this point. So, Steve, wait until the last 20 laps to go. If it's like this and there's a late yellow or we have fresh tires at the end of the race, these guys are going to go absolutely berserk.
They're going berserk now, Paul. Look at this on lap 95, getting towards 96. There is not one specific line around this track today. Guys are finding speed and downforce and grip at the top, in the middle, and down low. Look at this again. Will Power trying to find the move now. Castroneves running high. Castroneves running right in the middle of the track, but look right behind. Briscoe is not out of this fight.
I tell you what, if you don't like this kind of racing, there's something wrong with you, because this is about as good as it gets in terms of IndyCar racing. It's fast, it's competitive, you can't pull away, but you can lead. It's just everything going on. Guys passing each other, high, low, 2, 3 wide. What else can you ask for?
When you've got to make a change, Paul Tracy, when you've got to make a gear change in this 6-speed transmission at at this speed, whether it's heading into 1, whether it's into 3, what's it like? How much of an impact does that make, or is it relatively seamless?
Well, it's seamless if you're wide open throttle, but as we were listening to Kanan there, he was checking the throttle, and as soon as you have to get out of throttle, the revs drop, so you've got to make a downshift, and that really slows the car down. But if you make a gear change at wide open throttle, upshift, downshift, it doesn't hurt you that bad, but he looked like the front end was sliding, had to get out of the throttle, and immediately downshifted a gear, and now he's coming back up and trying to take that lead from Power.
Castroneves paid a big penalty there. He pulled out, Castroneves pulled out to try and make the move and just lost momentum, and Sato said, I'm having that space, son, it is gone. And Sato's car was in there in a split millisecond. Castroneves lost the pace, already back down to 5th.
Let's talk more about Penske. Jan Beekes is there.
And of course, Tim Cindric on the radio with Will. He hasn't been very comfortable all weekend, but now he looks really comfortable.
He's certainly gaining his confidence, and I think that once he got out of clear track there, he passed his way to the front in the first stint, kind of toward the end, and we put a little bit of front wing in, and I think he's much more comfortable now.
That was very hair-raising at the opening laps. Are you surprised how clean it's been up to this point for everyone?
Yeah, obviously it's real hard to get away from anybody, so I think when you pit and how you pit has a lot more to do with your track position, and nobody seems to be able to get away.
All right, a lot of action to come as Sebastian Bourdais is making a pit stop as well. He's earlier in the cycle, and we wait to see how these leaders are going to make their changes next time around.
That Mystic Chevrolet for Sebastian Bourdais has never really been in the mix today, as Tony Kanaan is down on the inside of Power now to regain the lead of this race. Kanaan, who has led 12 laps already, as we have just crossed the 100 lap mark of this 250 lapper. The MAV TV 500 Power returns the favour. This has got to be a blast for these guys. Excited to remind you that we are very close to NASCAR returning to NBC. It's July 4th weekend live from Daytona in the Sprint Cup Series Coke 0400 powered by Coca-Cola. It all begins July 4th with the Xfinity Series Subway Firecracker 250 right here on NBCSN. We welcome you back right at the time that the two guys battling at the front, Tony Kanaan, Helio Castroneves, hit pit road.
And we'll see which of these two pit teams performs the best. Tony Kanaan, who loves coming to this track, won this race a year ago, won a championship here in Indy Lights, won a championship here in Indycar. Ahead of him, you see Helio Castroneves. Tony Kanaan is already out, and they are nearly side by side, but Kanaan will beat Helio Castroneves out.
Nice stop. The Ganassi guys did well. Team Penske did well. Pretty much straightforward. Here we have Sato on the low line, Will Power on the high side. Honda versus Chevrolet, AJ Foyt versus Team Penske. And here come the guys just exiting pit lane. Kanaan and Castroneves, you just can't help under green flag conditions but go down a lap.
Kanaan really gapped Castroneves on the warm-up lane. He came out into the traffic there, as we see Graham Rahal pull away from his stop. He's been moving forward, happy with his car, resetting his weight jacker back to 0 now as he heads out onto the racetrack.
There's the front pack right there. Will Power, Takuma Sato et al. Here's Briscoe's in. Kev?
He's worked his way back up to the 5th position. Solid run for Ryan Briscoe. They keep tuning on the car. It's been getting better throughout the race. Briscoe with a clean stop, Sunoco fuel, and back out.
Power's in. Race leader.
Slow up, slow up, slow up.
200 miles an hour down off the track, down to 60.
Yeah. It looks like the guys are never going to be able to get down to speed.
Sage Karam in the background as well. Charlie Kimball, haven't seen much of Charlie in this race after brilliant runs at the Indianapolis 500 in Texas. This is Power though.
And Will Power has decided to go, at least the team has, with scrub Firestones this time. And he has said the car's been a little bit loose when he's been out front, but they chose to not make any changes. He gets the Sunoco fuel, and that was picture perfect, unlike his first stop.
Yeah, that's right, Jan. That was a much better pit stop. Haps Engineering just taking a little bit of pressure out of those rear tires there just to try and make the rear of the car more stable.
Sato in, Pagenaud in, Andretti in. This is Sato.
Sato, who's led 24 laps, happy with the car. Larry Foyt telling him just to take care of it. No changes for Sato. A little bit of a delay here as they continue to fuel. And he's off, Jan.
And Pagenaud is deciding to go with sticker Firestones. There goes Sato on his right. It was another good stop for Pagenaud. Again, trying to tune this car in.
Andretti is serviced and sent. This is Ed Carpenter in for CFH Racing, the only owner driver in the field.
It's been 3 straight podium finishes for Ed Carpenter here at Fontana, including that win back in 2012. He said he's a little bit loose in 2, neutral in 3 and 4, and happy with the balance of his fuzzy Chevrolet. It was a good stop for the 20.
Well, just think about the comparison to Texas Motor Speedway, where it was a double retirement for CFH Racing, and Ed Carpenter shook his head and said, we need to go home and figure this out. This is bordering on embarrassing. He's been anything but that today. He has been right up the front, and with that lead pack, Montoya we ride with, Dixon ahead. Green flag stops again. We're running caution-free for all 113 laps thus far, Jan.
And of course, Scott Dixon will come to a stop first, then Montoya will get his service. He's been complaining that the car is sharp on entry, a little too quick. He's had some trouble with, and see, he can't get the tear-off away. And there goes Scott Dixon. So they maintain their positions, but still, Juan Pablo Montoya is not able to get the tear-away off his visor.
Well, what we saw, Jan, during that pit stop, one of the mechanics leaned in to help Montoya release one of those tear-off visors away from his helmet. So I think they did manage to get it done, but it was clear Montoya was unhelpful. Here it is again. Look, you see, there goes the visor, the tear-off. Montoya saying that's much better.
As you see those edges of those tear-offs, they have multiple layers, 8 or 9 or 10 layers of tear-offs, and they're flipped over each other. It looks like they're stuck on the post, and he can't get his fingers on the piece to grab a hold of to tear it off. So, as we see Castroneves back to the lead. Kanan on the high side, and look at the steering wheel on power, just moving back and forth. He still looks a little bit loose and free. It was like a little loose coming off the corner.
The body language on these cars, Lee, something we were talking about earlier on, they are so subtle.
Go 3 back, lights the bottom.
The differences between a car working and not working. When you watch car, wow, look at this, talk about subtle. This is anything but subtle. Whoa!
That's
Sato.
Are you kidding?
Now that is not a nice move. To have 3 wide and then to just cut up in front of the other guys is something that is not looked upon kindly. But look at these fresh tires. Every time they go to fresh tires, it just gets more and more aggressive as we wind these laps and keep going. Look at this. Oh, Rahal.
Power's in trouble. Will Power is in trouble.
Yeah, I said he looked a little
dropping back.
He looked a little loose. So when I was watching watching from the in-car from Kanan, I could see his hands moving and sliding. You could see him just grabbing at the wheel coming off the corner.
Hey, PT. Firestone brought the same tire from Texas, except they have a new right front. They said the drivers really like it. Remember how they were complaining after Texas about the tires falling off so quick? It looks like the tires are doing a hell of a job here. What does that mean to a driver? The right front, what does that do for you?
Well, it just gives grip in the right front. It allows the car to stay stuck to the bottom of the track, like Castro Neves has been able to run this low line. If you've got more right front grip, it allows you to carve and keep the car on the bottom of the track and not slide up the track.
Briscoe on the inside of Kanan, rapidly closing on his old Penske teammate Helio Castro Neves. Briscoe for the lead. Ryan Briscoe on that low line for Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports. James Hinchcliffe is cheering him on. Can Briscoe go to the front?
And we have 4 Hondas now in the top 6. So Honda's strong today.
Sato, good gracious, but Sato just diving into any slight gap. You see that 14 car, here he goes again.
He's got damage now, that really hurt him.
Damage to the front wing, you're right.
Well, remember, he was in that 3 abreast confrontation with Graham Rahal and Carlos Munoz. There may have just been the slightest brush, slightest bit of contact, as all of a sudden, Graham Rahal finds himself in the mix and has made up 16 positions from his starting spot. Rahal up against the wall. You ride with Briscoe. Munoz again is the man in the middle. Pagenaud down on the low side as we ride with Ed Carpenter. And that high line working beautifully for Ed as he rapidly catches Takuma Sato and has to take the high side again.
This pack of guys, it just keeps packing up. It got a little spread out there for a little while, a little bit more single file, but now look, we got just cars all over the racetrack from top to bottom.
Yeah. I'm saving a little bit of fuel, so anything you can do to stay in line will help.
We're quickly easing up on half race distance. Caution free here at Auto Club Speedway Fontana.
Montoya trying to find his way around Sato down to the bottom to try and find that extra grip. Shortest way around, but then cannot do it.
Castro Neves and Sato have led equal high laps at 27. Helio's about to take that top spot shortly.
Castro Neves making best use of that right front tyre that Robin and PT were talking about earlier on to try and find that extra grip. But Briscoe is right on the transmission of Castro Neves.
Man, tell you what, Sato is just, the places he's putting the car, he's putting himself in tremendous risk.
Rahal to the high side of Scott Dixon. 3 into this turn.
The high line here, you'll see Graham trying to pull it around the outside.
Dixon gets out of it.
A little too tight there. These guys nearly bump side pods. Rahal to second place.
Graham Rahal from towards the back of this pack has made up 17 positions from his starting spot. There's only 23 cars in the field.
I don't know where to look. There are just fantastic racing duels up and down the entire pack. And still it goes on.
Right on your left rear, inside. He's got to run the low line, side by side. Inside. inside.
He couldn't keep it on the low line, that's for sure. He slid almost right up into the side pod of Graham.
Inside, tight inside, inside, inside.
Briscoe fighting back now, again down on that line. There, how does Graham fight back? There's the high line again. It's such a competition.
Inside clear.
You can see an advantage, Paul, of running low and running high right now.
Yeah, it's the problem that Briscoe has as he slides up into the side of Graham. He just can't keep it low.
Yeah.
And as you start sliding the front tires, as you come off the corner, the momentum from the high side just allows Graham to pull by him.
And meanwhile, let's not discount Montoya.
So as things calm down a little bit, sort of, you know what I mean. We're off to a break. We'll be back to California in just a moment. Indycar on NBCSN as we welcome you back. We've just crossed over the halfway point of the MAV TV 500. It's round 11 of the 2015 Verizon IndyCar Series Championship, and Graham Rahal has just edged ahead. Will he be able to get around Helio Castroneves and actually lead a lap? Helio has looked incredibly strong for Team Penske, and again making that low line work. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Castroneves' car is really, really good on the low line. He's the only guy that's really been able to keep it down there all day. Everybody else has been quick on the high side, like Tony Kanaan, making the move now, trying to pull around the outside of Graham Rahal. Rahal looks at the high side of Tony Kanaan. Sitting right behind these guys is Ryan Briscoe for Schmidt Peterson Motorsports in the Arrow car number 5, that gold car, and Briscoe has been in the mix all day, Kevin.
Rick Peterson is the co-owner as we continue to watch this battle up front. Rick, this kind of tells us why you chose Ryan to fill in for Hinch.
Yeah, he's doing an awesome job, isn't he?
So what kind of things is he saying? What's playing into the final stages of the second half of this race?
He's not saying much. Just the car's fine, everything's good. So I don't think we have to make many adjustments. We could maybe use a quick short yellow but that's about it. Other than that, we're good to the end.
That's a good sign when the driver's not saying a lot. Ryan Briscoe's car is hooked up right now.
Looking good. Behind Briscoe, Montoya, Dixon, Power, Pagenaud, Marco Andretti has found his way back into the top 10, and Ed Carpenter runs 10th.
Well, you can't really pick a winner out of this because I feel that anybody within the top 11 cars from Sato forward has a shot at winning this race. Every one of these cars has led at some point in the top 12. Every car has led, so picking a winner out of this group is nearly impossible at this point.
I couldn't agree more, Paul. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys lead this race, been a lot of lead changes, but they've all been genuine lead changes, genuine running up front too. So not just a result of pit stops and fresh tyres.
Penske has dominated qualifying. Penske has dominated this championship. There is Mr. Penske, Roger Penske, the captain. Cal?
The captain calls the shots for Elio Castroneves, but we have seen some action out there. What do you think of seeing these cars run 3, sometimes 4 wide here?
Well, I think it's great racing. It just shows you the quality of the drivers running this close together, lap after lap with no yellows. We're hoping for a little rest for these guys, but great racing with everybody out there. They're taking care of each other, and I'm glad to see one of our cars up front.
500-mile race. We're just over the halfway mark. How surprised are you by how aggressive they've been early on?
Well, this is a sprint race now. This is sprinting we are now. It's we got to go here.
All right, well, Roger Penske built this track, so you know he wants to come away with the win today.
Back in 1997, and the man who sits beside Steve Matchett and myself, Paul Tracy,
if you could get him,
was the very first driver to turn laps of this track for Mr. Penske.
Well, it was a tremendous honor. I remember when this place was built and we came out here, it was like a no man's land here. There was a big steel mill and it was a contaminated ground, and Roger said, I'm going to build a track there. And we came out here and did our first laps, and onwards and upwards. Great venue, always given great racing. As we see these two signaling each other. Little signal from Kanaan or from Castroneves there to Rahal. These guys, he wants to lead and just get in line with me here, and let's just keep this lead going as they're starting to stretch away a little bit from the rest of the pack.
Graham Rahal had us all scratching our heads yesterday when he qualified and did qualify well as he goes around Castroneves. Kanaan pounces as well. And Rahal said, yeah, you know what, that was okay. Whoa! Castroneves is gone! Elio spins! Perhaps it was inevitable. Racing this close, this fast for this long.
He hit the wall on the inside and has damaged the rear bumper. He'll probably have a flat tire in the rear from spinning that long, but he got rounded up by Rahal and then had to check out of the throttle. Kanaan came around the inside, chopped across the front, and then Power was there. He just got swarmed by everybody, and looked like he just touched Power, I think, and lost the car.
The guy who has led the most laps in this race, Elio Castroneves, and yeah, you saw some bodywork, one of those rear pods from the car of Ryan Briscoe, that whole rear right side.
So we'll have to change that when we come in.
Wow. 135 laps, 36 laps, caution-free. Flat out, at an average speed of in excess of 200 miles per hour, has finally come to a halt.
And that wasn't the yellow that Roger was looking for, that's for sure, with his guy being out of the race now.
Tell him we're going to drive it in. We're going to drive it in, tell him.
Here it is. Let's watch. Briscoe on the low side, Power on the high side. Elio is in the middle, and there was just ran out of space. Boy, Montoya was lucky.
Yeah, Montoya
was so lucky.
We saw that wheel pod of Briscoe's car lead, didn't we? Went flying into the air, but fortunately, air didn't get underneath the car. You can see the two blanking plates on the back of the car where Castroneves has those 3 decals on there. Designed for ovals, there it is again, look, designed when the car goes into reverse to stop air flowing back underneath the car. Let's have another look, another angle of this.
Keep your eye on the gold car, Ryan Briscoe.
Ooh! Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
So 3 into 1. It was just one of those awkward situations. Did Briscoe come up a little early? Did Elio just run out of room? Did Power squeeze him down? It's all of that. You can see Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, Elio just didn't really have anywhere to go, did he? You know, and just couldn't go to the left, couldn't go to the right. On board Montoya, this is going to show it.
3 cars all fighting for about 8 feet of room, and Montoya very, very lucky there to get by there.
Yeah. I wonder if Briscoe just started to lose traction down low and just started to drift up the track as you were describing earlier on, Paul, and that changed line and Elio had nowhere to go.
So remember, there's quite a bit more work needed on car number 5, the Arrow Honda, for Schmidt Peterson Motorsports and Ryan Briscoe involved in that accident. Ray Hall leads the entire field to pit road. Kev?
Ryan Briscoe has a spare rear wing, and they are going to change it. They were taking a look to see if they needed to do it, and they did have damage, so the entire rear wing assembly being changed for Ryan Briscoe, so he's going to lose precious track position.
Big race off the line. Power was the winner. Ray Hall second. Montoya third. Kanan and Carpenter going at it as well. But Power the big winner, gaining 2 positions. There goes Briscoe finally.
Hey, wow, for a rear wing change, that is phenomenal.
Well, it's a good thing this was under yellow and not under green, because if you'd had to do that under green, he would lose a lap or 2. But his car is strong enough that he'll be able to pull back through the field. He's been very, very strong. So not too much of a disappointment for him. If that would have been under green, it would have been a big problem.
And for Will Power, he made a stop in 7.03 seconds, and they also checked the rear suspension to be sure there was no damage because of the contact. So he picks up 2 positions. Amazing, that quick of a stop, and how many things they had to check.
And remember, Will Power's very first pit stop and how awkward that was. However, car number 1 doing a super job. Team Penske doing a super job. What a race these IndyCar fans have been treated to today here at Auto Club Speedway.
Last week on NASCAR America.
We've had a lot of activity out here at the bumper car track, and it's taught us a tremendous amount of things. First and foremost, high speeds. We had an intern reportedly hit 2.5 miles per hour.
The key is, though, that they're not going to sign Danica without having the sponsor to go with it. It's a package deal.
3 strikes are out at the old ball game.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Was that Roseanne Barr? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. Ow. America doesn't always have talent.
And a quick reminder, you can see NASCAR America weekdays here on NBCSN. This week coming up huge with the lead up to the return of NASCAR racing on your home of motorsport, NBC Sports. We're here at Indy Fontana, Auto Club Speedway in California, and we are under our one and only full course caution at the moment due to a collision between Ryan Briscoe and Helio Castro-Neves. Briscoe's car, the Schmidt Peterson Motorsports Honda, is all fixed, but let's listen to some radio communication from Briscoe to the team.
I don't know what the hell Helio was doing there. That was strange.
Yeah, it looks like he tried to jump back in line behind us and mistimed it.
Yeah, but all the way through the corner, it was really weird how he checked up like that. I mean, we're all on the brake trying to miss him.
So Briscoe communicating is a little bit of confusion as to what his old teammate was doing. Of course, 2 sides to every story. We'll hear from Helio Castro-Neves a little later. We saw his car in the break getting craned away. So lap leaders, the man who's out of the race has led the most. The irony. Oh, the irony. Sato with 27. He has been spectacular today. And will Marco Andretti come back into the mix in his Andretti Autosport Honda late in this race? So, good number of the cars on the lead lap. And we've had a great range of leaders. Will Power, car number 1, position number 1. will be in the prime spot for the restart, but you've got to be impressed with Graham Rahal. He's made up 17 positions from his starting spot. This is the reason we're under yellow. The one and only caution in the race so far. Helio Castroneves, the driver who has led more laps in this race than any other. Not really in the talking mood just at the moment.
Probably wanting to go back and see what's up with the car. If they fix that car, he'll get in it back there as to lose less time, maybe lose less laps. He is fourth in the championship, so I would imagine that they would get the car back out there.
So, still rolling under caution because the accident seed needed to be cleaned up. There you have it. That's the Penske garage for Helio Castroneves. And very, very fast assessment going on as to see if they can turn this round and get it back out there for Helio Castroneves. So the accident scene has been cleared up. There was other debris on track that needed to be collected and the track surface cleared and cleaned before we resume racing. This has been a wild one. This is a 500-mile race and a winner of one of the most famous 500-mile races ever, Joey Logano from Team Penske. The Indycar race is wild and entertaining. These guys are nuts. Well, it certainly has been entertaining, Joey, that's for sure. Tim Cindric, president of Team Penske, who oversees the entire operation and the 4 Verizon Series IndyCars. Helio's back in the cockpit.
Yeah, he's gotten back in the car. So like I said, he wanted to get back in, lose as little time as possible. They'd have to pull the car back out to the pit lane before they can fire it up. And then instead of getting in it there, he's in it ready to go. As soon as it hits the pit lane, they'll start it and he'll leave right then. But they're going to put fresh tires on it in the garage. So, but when he gets to the pit lane, they'll start it at the entrance of the pits and he'll go.
Yeah, they must still have to give a fairly close scrutiny to any potential steering damage, suspension damage. We can see there's not a front wing on the car, so there's still got a significant amount of work to do. The mechanics now starting to take off those front rims and tyres off the front, but that was a fairly substantial shunt. Here go the mechanics now pulling the nose off and putting the replacement nose on. Good look around the car.
What was your assessment, Paul Tracy, of this accident?
Well, it looked to me like, you know, when Graham ran around the outside of him really tight, it kind of sucks these cars around. As we see Will come around, and I think he was just caught off guard. He was probably out of the throttle with the rate that everybody was passing, and everybody just came all over him.
He's done is to block this section of the car off on the front and the rear to make that a completely sealed box. And the idea is that when the car is spinning and therefore going in reverse, it stops air getting back underneath there. And the guys from Indycar suggested, well, you need about 23 miles an hour more speed now to get that back of the car to raise and flip. So it seems that modification, Lee, that we were talking about earlier on has made a difference. We didn't see the car rise at all.
Well, it was a very scary, to be honest, month of May at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We saw too many cars get air, and so Indycar acting very quickly. And again, Montoya's view of what put us into a yellow. We're back at Auto Club Speedway, Fontana, and you see the Team Penske Chevrolet of Helio Castro Neves being wheeled back out onto pit road. What a great sight for his team, his mechanics. He plays 1/4 of the role for Team Penske, but a very important one. He's in the top 4 in the points and will want to get back out there, back running. Behind the safety car. That's now 14 odd laps under yellow. Just the one caution here last year as well for some 12 laps. It's Will Power and Graham Rahal. One Chevrolet, one Honda in the top 2. One Pablo Montoya third. Canaan, Carpenter, Dixon, Pagano as the front wing. The new front wing is connected for Helio Castro Neves. Time to get going again. Hey, when we've seen, it doesn't matter what category of racing, when championships have been decided by a solitary point, even going on a countback, you got to get back out there and get into the mix. Never give up.
Well, Roger is not going to give up. He's going to maximize everything he can and gain every point. He's 14 laps behind now, but judging by the way that these guys have been racing, for sure, at some point, there's going to be a crash.
All right, ready to get things going again after some 15 laps of yellow. Let's go racing in Fontana, California. Will Power, the reigning series champion, leads the way. But watch that second car of Graham Rahal. He wants to take that Honda to the front.
Boy, he does, and he does in the biggest way as well. He run low, got onto the transmission, tried to pick up the toe, but I think Power has it back.
All right, there's a scramble in the pack, as you can imagine. The guys are ready to get going again. Power on the low line. Then Rahal on the inside is one, Pablo Montoya.
4 wide going through the corner. This is like we've hit the reset button, and this is the start of the race again.
Look at this. Remember your tire pressures. Remember.
Oh, Kanaan and Carpenter.
You've got to be so careful after those laps behind the car.
Ease into it, guys.
Yeah.
We had 130-odd laps doing it nicely. And Briscoe, Ryan Briscoe, I can confirm, is getting a penalty for the contact with Helio Castro-Neves. Paul, I know you disagree with that.
I don't think I agree with that. I think it was just a situation of racing where, you know, Castro-Neves was just backing up into that group of cars and really nowhere for Ryan to go.
The yellow car is Simon Pagenaud for Team Penske, the pole sitter. He moves into third ahead of Montoya. Here comes Dixon in that orange and black degree car for Chip Ganassi Racing. Munoz on the low line, the green and white car. Andretti is back in the mix as well. Marco's had a great race today.
Look at these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4 wide.
Whoa!
Up, down, left, right.
Pagenaud managing to find pace by being low, but look at Montoya. For the last 2 laps, Montoya has been stalking the back of Pagenaud. Rahal coming down onto Montoya, and now Montoya is right on the transmission of Pagenaud.
There could be some guys working harder than the drivers today, and that's the spotters above us here, above the grandstand, who have to have about 3 sets of eyes to communicate what's going on to their drivers. 3 abreast again, 4 abreast again. Pagenaud on the inside along his Team Penske teammate. Many believe he could have won the Indianapolis 500 this year. Helio Castro-Neves out of his car. It could be day done for the Brazilian.
Yeah, I think whatever it is, they've sent the driver out to have a feel of the car after that collision, even though the engineers have given it a check over, but they've retired the car, I'm going to guess, at this point.
Andretti to the lead. Marco Andretti told Robin at the beginning of this broadcast, my car is great. Yesterday it almost felt too good to be true. Could we see a Honda win this 500-mile event? We've got a lot of the race to go, but Simon Pagenaud, the pole sitter, he wants to argue that point.
He fights back on the inside. We still have 3-4 cars wide coming off of turn 4. 3 wide down the straightaway. Power, Kanaan, Rahal, Montoya.
It's that low line again, Paul. That low line, that low right down to the track where the white line is. Look at the pace these guys are finding.
Look at Ed fly by on the inside. He went from 5th to 3rd now.
I think that's Munoz.
Oh,
it's Munoz. It's Carlos Munoz. The Detroit.
Whoa!
And Rahal just wants to muscle Power out of the way. Watch Carlos Munoz. When he made his debut performance at the Indy 500 a couple of years ago, this is what he was magical at.
Munoz saw the speed down low. Rahal thought, hey, that's where the speed in the track is. Let's watch this again.
Ducks down in front of the AJ Foyt machine, right alongside Montoya, fellow Colombian, and then just goes to the front.
There's the pace, there's the line, that's where the speed is on the track right now. Rahal thought, hey, I need some of that too. Heave down low, and here now on the opposite end, right at the top of the track, comes Pagenaud.
I'll tell you what, every one of these Andretti cars has now come alive. Marco's come back to the front, Munoz leading. Their teammates, Hunter Ray, is now in the frame. He's been able to close the gap.
Oh, that's the teammates. Teammates have collided. The CFH teammates are into the wall. Joseph Newgarden, the Toronto and Barber winner, and his owner and teammate, Ed Carpenter.
I'll tell you what.
And thing just took off, and then I wasn't pulled outside either.
All the momentum
Didn't know anyone was there.
In the last 2 weeks, to have it come to this, your 2 teammates in the wall, has got to be a huge disappointment.
The last 2 ovals, Texas Motor Speedway and here at Auto Club Speedway, we'll see a double DNF, double retirements for both CFH racing cars. That was Sarah Fisher looking on. One of the owners of CFH Racing, in no doubt, in disbelief.
Drivers climbing out. That's a relief to see.
Ed say the front end took off, so he was probably in heavy traffic and the front slid out.
Let's have a look at it and see if we can see what happened.
See Ed here, he's running. He's out. He gets the air cut off of him and the front end just took off there. Yeah, so he had Montoya come across the nose. The front end started to slide and his teammate was there on the outside of him in the pack.
This will tell us a story. There's Newgarden way high coming round. He's got the momentum.
The front end goes on him, and that's it. There's no more room to have.
Boy, oh boy, that's more of that very subtle body language from the cars, Paul. You called it perfectly. Just lost the front, and it slid up.
Kelly, what you got?
Well, I've got the guy who probably knows how Ed Carpenter is feeling right about now, Helio Castroneves. His day was done early after leading so many laps. What happened out there, Helio?
Yeah, unfortunately, Rahal was coming up on me, and then kind of like he really squeezed a little bit on the top. So as soon as I put me in a position that I didn't want to, I was about to push, so I started lifting because I didn't want to crash out. I think we touched, and one lap before he was already squeezing me. I'm like, dude, you don't need to do that. So I'm kind of like lifting, and all of a sudden, people come in and start chopping, and then the Briscoes and Will, all of a sudden, they just close it up. Briscoe didn't have to do that. He just turned into me, and obviously, as soon as he turned into me, I was like, damn, this was a tough one. I tell you what, woof, it was a long ride on sideways, and but AAA car and Chevy car engine was unbelievable. I mean, man, we had a fantastic car. It's a shame to finish like this, but see what happened. Right now, when we went out, it looks like the toe links are bent, so we're gonna change and continue, keep going.
You were one of the drivers that said patience was key here. How surprised were you how intense it was out there from the drop of the green?
Yeah, for me, it was just a matter of take it easy. It's still half of the race. You can't convince everyone to do the same thing.
All right, we see these guys coming in for the pit stops. Thank you, Helio.
Yes, and not everyone is pitting, but Will Power has decided to pit. By my calculations, he would still have 2 more stops after this, so they may be trying to gamble on more yellow. So a routine stop, we see Ryan Hunter-Reay, James Jakes, and Scott Dixon, another player who's decided to take this early stop. Now we have people on different strategies. This will be interesting.
So, summarizing what Castroneves said, the whole accident was initiated by Rahal passing him so tight. He didn't like that he squeezed him tight, and he had to get out of the throttle and was backing up into that group, and that's a marginal penalty call, I think, for Briscoe. I think he was pretty unfairly penalized for that.
It was interesting to see that side-by-side replay of Castroneves pointing to his helmet, to his mind, obviously gesturing to Graham, saying, hey, come on, let's think about this. So there'll be 2 sides to the story, as always. This is the most recent accident, bringing us under yellow for the 2nd time today. watching the Verizon IndyCar Series here on NBCSN. We're under a slower pace, travelling at a slower pace under yellow for the second time today. But this has been a fascinating race. So much to talk about. And the ever-improving, Kevin, Andretti Autosport Hondas.
Well, it's been quite a day for Marco Andretti, who was leading, then fell back to 14th or 15th. How did you get him back up to the front, Michael?
We were just, at the beginning, it was a little bit of a fuel race, so we were just trying to get us into some windows, and we gave up some track position, but we feel like we have a pretty fast car, and we were able to get it back, and obviously these yellows helped us, so we think we're back in it.
What do you make of this racing? And you've got two cars, 1-2 right now with Munoz leading.
Yeah, unfortunately it's become a little bit of pack racing, so not crazy about that. So it's going to be a bit of a crapshoot.
Thank you, Michael Andretti.
The complexion of this race today only makes me think about years gone by, and I could easily see a Paul Tracy, Michael Andretti confrontation out there today.
Well, things were very confrontational in our career, and you didn't help us any when you ran into Michael at dinner and you had to wind him up and upset him.
Just I remember those days very vividly at Surface Paradise when you managed to cut one of his tires down with your front wing end plate.
He's still very angry about it too. It's 20 years later.
Hey Lee,
Robin, yes.
When Paul Tracy was a rookie, he stuffed Michael Andretti to the tires at Detroit. I think they were going for second place, and after the race we said, you know, that was Michael Andretti stuffed in the tires. He said, well, he shouldn't be in my way.
Great competition, no doubt. You know what? As we take a more serious look at this, it's the Fuzzies Chevrolet for CFH Racing, and then the Hartman Oil car for Joseph Newgarden. Teammates crashing has not been a rare thing this year. Look, the Penske teammates going at it at St. Petersburg. Let's go ahead to another street race in Detroit too, and it is Charlie Kimball there alongside, and he collects his teammate from Target Chip Ganassi Racing, Scott Dixon. How about this? Still at Detroit, mind you. And we've got the two drivers from Team Penske, Elio Castro-Neves and Will Power. And then, of course, today we got these two, Newgarden and Ed Carpenter. Kelly?
And really, worst case scenario out there, Ed, and you guys were just both in medical together. What did you discuss?
I just apologize. You know, I had gotten into the 3 with a pack of cars, and I didn't really want to go to the second lane, and I got shoved down there. You know, guys are kind of driving crazy, especially on restarts. But I got in second lane and got understeer and just started pushing up the track. And I could have left more room there if I would have known that someone was coming. I didn't get much information from my spotter on that one. So it's pretty unfortunate. You know, not much worse than getting in a crash. You know, still haven't finished the race this season in the 20 car and take out my teammate. It sucks pretty bad.
And Joseph, for you to go from the highest of highs to probably the lowest of lows, how do you wrap your head around this?
Well, it's racing. You know, I think, you know, the only reason we got together was we were just next to each other at that moment. So it happens. I think we had good cars. We got pushed back a little bit early and then came back later on. I could have lifted too, but I was already had a full head of steam and I didn't want to get out of it. And I thought, I didn't know what was going to happen at that point. And then we ended up getting together. But it's one of those deals. It's just racing.
All right. Good to see both of you out of medical. Thank you.
Think about this, for the last 3 races for CFH Racing, which is Carpenter, Fisher, Hartman Racing, they've gone from a double retirement, both guys out at Texas Motor Speedway, to the team's best ever moment of its first 1-2 on the streets of Toronto to today, and another double retirement. They are peaks and valleys for that team. They're riding a roller coaster at the moment.
Yeah, they really are, and it's very unfortunate there for Carpenter. It just lost the front of that car as PT was describing earlier on there, and it just washes the front away. We talk about being able to run low, but to run low you've got to have great mechanical grip, good aero, very good aero, and if you haven't, all of a sudden you just start to slide away, and that's what happened. It's just a classic example of that. Very unfortunate that there were 2 teammates.
So you may remember earlier in this race there was a pit crew member for Dale Coyne Racing who was accidentally collected coming in for a pit stop. Votes. Yeah, Robin, what's the latest?
That was the inside left front man, Lee. His name is Oren Trower. And Dale Coyne just told me he doesn't think anything's broken. He just said he's complaining about his back hurts. He said he's not yelling about his back hurting. He's just complaining. So they're hopeful nothing's going to be broken and he's going to be back in a couple weeks.
Very unfortunate indeed. And as we were describing earlier on, the mechanics, they cannot move because they're on their knees waiting with the air guns to take the wheels and tires off when the car comes in. You have to have utter, complete, 100% confident that the driver is going to stop inch perfect. And when that doesn't happen, just a couple of inches left or right, there's going to be an accident.
Briscoe's got something dragging behind there.
It looks like, well, it's gone now. It looked like a little tape or something was stuck to the bottom there as he comes in and tops off. Got some extra service, puts himself in a different category of fuel and strategy compared to the leaders. So look for him to come back through the field strong.
Well, speaking of strategy, that's exactly the reason. A little bit of luck. That team won earlier this year, ready to go racing again. It's Andretti, teammates at the front. Carlos Munoz, Marco Andretti. Green flag flies here at Fontana. Let's go. The teammates wheel to wheel.
Marco wants to be back in the lead. These two need to really work together and try to stretch it out on the rest of this pack. But Marco wants the lead again.
End of the second caution period done, and here it comes. The pack is grouping, the pack is together again, and Canaan goes the high side in the NTT Data Chevrolet for Chip Ganassi Racing. Remember, he won at the very last race here last year. Canaan loves this track. He could be the favourite again today.
Boy, but look at the cars moving around Lee at the front again, just like we saw with Ed Carpenter. Remember those low tyre pressures and low ride heights, a result of running behind the pace car. Just take your time for a lap to get everything back up to speed.
Right now we have 4 Hondas running in the top 5, but we have about 15 cars running within about a half a second of each other, but 4 Hondas in the top 5 right now.
Munoz on the inside, Steve, not worried about Canaan. Hugs that line.
There it is. That's the fastest line around the track, but keep your eye also on Sato. There he is in our picture in the 14 ABC car at the top. He wants to get in this fight for the lead.
Ray Hall and Andretti, two of the most famous names in the history of the sport. And on the inside is Will Power. Look at this. Making a move yarn right to the front. Was there an adjustment made on that last stop after going backwards before we went to yellow? Power looks strong.
And what they decided to do was take new tires. They are not trying to save fuel and save a stop. They decided, Tim Cindric told me, we're going to take on new tires. We can vault ourselves to the front on new tires, and then when we pit next time, we'll have to take less fuel. So this paid immediately with new tires. He shoots to the front.
Well, the low line is where it is, and Munoz is going to have another look at that low line now, working on Will Power. Will was getting great speed down low. He now pulls high up to the top of the track, but look at Munoz.
There's a traffic jam in Southern California. I know that that's not rare, but it's at 200 miles an hour.
210 mile an hour traffic jam as Ray Hall goes to the top.
Inside,
Sato on the bottom, slicing up in front of Canaan. These guys are almost touching wheels.
This is what Castro Neves was saying before. Whoa! Ray Hall is now getting squeezed. He and Tony Canaan brush.
There had to have been contact. There had to have been.
And look at Hunter Ray. He's come from the back of the field, steadily working his way forward, coming up on 2/3 distance.
Munoz now working that high line. And once again, it is the bottom 2 tracks or lines around this circuit which seems to have the most pace.
You know what? Just outside of turn 4 here at Auto Club Speedway, there's a go-kart track, and they were racing today, and it looked very much like this. It wasn't at 210 miles an hour, though. Ray Hall and Sato. Ray Hall now zips up the outside, takes that high line.
Honda's swarming all over Chevys. Honda's coming to the front. All of them. They're every Honda in the field. It seems like they're at the front of the field right now.
This day could not have come fast enough for Honda Performance Development. They have endured a very trying season.
3 wide, yeah, but I still think that low line, Paul Tracy, seems to be the fastest way around this track.
We'll see when Graham Rahal takes a 4 wide.
Oh my God.
Takuma Sato, the man who took it for Dario Franchitti at the Indy 500 on the last lap several years ago, goes to the front for AJ Foyt.
Well, if we want evidence that the low line was the fastest way around the track at that point, Sato just said, I'll prove it to you.
Sato and Power. Takuma goes back up the front, and if he can lead this lap, it'll be the 28th lap he's led in this race.
Very strong race for the Foyt team. Look at this in-car here as we see Sato gets a big draft. He pops out, and the momentum carries him by 4 wide on the entrance of the corner, and Rahal touching wheels with Munoz and still completes the pass.
They're like display fighter jets.
Munoz had to get out of it. He's lost several positions, but still runs 5th. Power now in the Verizon Chevy returns the favor and enter the scene again. Tony Kanaan on the low line.
I've got to feel Kanaan's going to find pace in the track running low, but the question is, how long can you run low for? He's already started to run wide.
Kérem.
Yeah, he got squeezed by Montoya. He wanted to go to the outside. Montoya says, "Nuh-uh, because kid, you're not going that way."
Can you believe what a breath of fresh air this is for the man in that yellow DHL Honda, Ryan Hunter-Reay, who has had one of his leanest seasons in a long, long time. Back towards the front and feeling competitive.
Once again, Sato pulls out from the gearbox of Power, runs to that low line. Power says, yep, that's where it is. Now I'm going to try and get on your gearbox.
Tell you what, the Honda is not short on power. We saw that in Texas. We saw the way he just pulled by that Penske car on the straightaway.
Yeah.
Honda's deficiency so far has been their aero package. The motor, I think, is probably better than the Chevy.
Yeah, and I think on these oval tracks, if you take that downforce, if you take the wings away from the car, relatively low downforce settings on the car, all of a sudden you take that drag penalty away, the Honda comes alive.
Oh, these guys are just wheel to wheel, 215 miles an hour on the straightaway. You can't put a sheet of paper between the two cars.
No.
Takuma Sato,
hey,
Tony Kanaan, Graham Rahal, who has been in the thick of it after coming back from the high teens where he started. He's made up 16, 17 positions from his starting spot, and now up there has not been shuffled back. He's staying at the front.
Rahal on that high line I thought was going to squeeze through right at the top of the track. Kanaan said, no, I'll show you how to make the move on Sato. It's not high, it's low.
Yeah, look at Montoya coming on the low side. It seems like everybody wants to run middle to the top, but once somebody pops to that low side, they make up a lot of ground, but they can't keep the car there for very long.
If you're wondering how long this mayhem's been going on for, about 179 laps. Right from the very beginning, it has been a race to savor, that's for sure. And still so much more to come right here on NBCSN. the track may be half the length of this one, but we're looking forward to the next round of the Verizon IndyCar Series coming your way Sunday, July 12. It's the Wisconsin 250 from the famed Milwaukee Mile. We welcome you back to Auto Club Speedway, and we welcome you back to what has been a fascinating race. It has been highly entertaining, thoroughly enjoyable, and you're looking at that red My Jack Honda for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. Dive to the inside again. Graham Rahal is right alongside the veteran Tony Kanaan, and here comes Marco Andretti on the high side. Andretti sweeps right around the outside of both of them. Again.
It's just been saying all the pace seems to be down low for a short period of time. Marco Andretti says, nope, I'm going to do it around the top of the track.
And you know what? That was very reminiscent of his father, Michael. Michael was brilliant on the high line.
Sage on the far outside there trying to make a move on, I can't recognize, I think it was Power, and he got chopped off on the entrance to the corner. So Sage is now back in the scene. He fell back during the beginning of the race and led for a bit, then fell back, and now he's back up in the frame.
Look, and this is going to get shuffled, as Jan Beeker said earlier. This is going to get shuffled because you've got guys out there on varying strategies. Andretti, Rahal, Montoya, Sato, and Kanaan all pitted on the same lap last time round, but Power is different. So too is Dixon and Kanaan. Here we go. Here's the shuffle, Kev.
Well, that yellow greatly helped Carlos Munoz. He was languishing 10th to 15th, and they wanted a yellow to change a front wing. So that's how he shot from 16th to the front. Contact shuffled him back in. You can see him really cranking on that front wing, and they're likely going to need one more pit stop for Carlos Munoz.
Graham Rahal, remember, he started 19th. He has said at times, I can put this car pretty much anywhere I want it. And that means contending for the lead in the late stages of this race. He seems to be very happy with his race car. Didn't hear him ask for any changes on this pit stop, but we'll keep an eye on it to see if they adjust the front wing. So far, right now, it's just getting some stick.
Whoa! No!
And you saw him pull the fire hose off.
That is no good right there. He was in, he pulled out. Graham left, and for some reason the fueler went back in with the fuel after the car was moving, and that is going to be a problem.
Unbelievable confusion down in the pits. What on earth happened there? As you say, PT, fuel hose was off and then for some reason back on. Here it is in replay.
Yeah,
let's have a look.
Fuel was flowing. Tires are done. He comes out and goes back in for some reason, and Graham leaves.
Oops.
I wonder whether or not, Paul, fuel wasn't flowing, and that was the reason that the refueler put the nozzle back on. Well, there's the splash of fuel.
Well, there's fuel coming out of that Buckeye at the end, but that you cannot afford to have that happen now at this stage of the race.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Juan Pablo Montoya taking the opportunity now with a clear pit to make some changes. They have been talking on the radio. They said, we're going to take wing out. Then they said, no, we're not. So we're going to look to see. In fact, it looks like at the front, they did not make any changes. 7.7 seconds. He had a clear pit to do it because people were on different strategies.
Here at the front, we pick up Marco Andretti, who has had an amazing run today. Will Power right behind.
At some point, Lee, they're going to have to go yellow because that fuel Buckeye is out on the track somewhere. So I think they're allowing these guys to do their pit stops before they go and call a yellow. But this is a critical moment here for Montoya.
Yellow.
Ooh. Sage Karam is in the pits. Coletti is in there as well as this third yellow is called. So Andretti was able to get serviced and sent. However, this is now going to shuffle things up pretty interestingly because the top three guys, Power, Dixon, Hunter Ray, all pitted on the same lap last time around. Then you got Briscoe in no man's land. He's 6 laps off. There's that fuel part of the fuel hose, the insertion point at...
There's the main part of it.
Yeah,
right
the Buckeye
here.
is there. You do not want to run that over. That's about a 5, 6, 7 pound piece of aluminum right there. As we see Newgarden's car comes back out.
Well, that was the strangest confusion I've seen on a refueling pit stop for a long while.
I wonder if that's a penalty for Graham. Because it.
What a shame on a day that was going so well. Show you again.
Now, which is the signal to release the car?
just don't know why the fueler went back in.
Yeah.
He was pulled out, the car came down, the tires were done, he pulled out, and then decided to go back in for some reason. Maybe we can get an answer from them.
The mechanic on the right front, wheel change mechanic, the mechanic in the orange overalls, it's his responsibility to wave Graham back out. This is the guy here, right here, who will give the signal to the driver, go, go, go. There's his hand. Watch it there.
He says go.
Release the car.
He's saying go.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's not the driver's fault.
Yeah, like Graham can't see what the fueler's doing. He's watching his outside front guy, and when he waves him to go, it's go.
The question is, PT, fueler go back in. Was he asked over his radio to do that? We don't know.
So under yellow for the third time due to the debris needing to be collected from Graham Rahall's Honda. And a nice little gesture there on the side of his cockpit. Get well Hinch, referencing James Hinchcliffe after Hinch's big crash in the month of May at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He continues to recover in a speedy fashion, and we're all thinking of you, James. Can't wait to see you back at the track soon.
Welcome back to Auto Club Speedway, where during that break you may have seen on the side of the screen that some people decided to come onto pit road and make stops. Many of the leaders did so. You can see the pack led by Will Power. Now all these cars that stopped did so under yellow, so they do not lose a lap. Now on many other races you see in IndyCar competition, you want to try to get pitted just before the yellow. Not the case here on an oval. So people like Munoz, people like Pagenaud that we saw stop under green just before this yellow, they're now back a lap. Not a complete lap, but they're going to be now at the tail end of the lead lap. So these cars here, they lose position, but not a lap, because under green, you lose that because of the intense speed out on the racetrack.
And we are fast approaching the final 50 laps here at Auto Club Speedway. That is the front wing of Sage Karam's car. Boy, he has been in the thick of it, and we're going to follow up a report that there may have been a collision, a slight collision with the 14 of Takuma Sato. He features in our Chevrolet driver profile, this 20-year-old American, immensely talented, Indy Lights champion, and led his first laps of his career today, has not been intimidated by the high-speed 2-mile Fontana circuit, and has really been in the thick of things.
Well, he's with Takuma Sato again, and he has had an ongoing battle with Takuma Sato since the first lap, first corner of the Indy 500. So let's hope this doesn't continue, but these two seem to be like a magnet that can't stay apart from each other.
Pole sitters in for Team Penske. Simon Pagenaud, what kind of day is today going to be? Can he convert his first ever oval pole to a victory?
And they just gave him the pass by. Those I mentioned, Pagenaud, Munoz, they passed them by, so they're at the very end of the order. So what you do, come on to pit road and top off on fuel. They will still have one more stop. Everyone, as far as my calculations, unless there were a lot of yellow, will have another stop today. This is something, so when you make your final stop, you won't have to be here as long because you won't need as much fuel.
Yeah, it was a very brief refueling period there, Jan, wasn't it? Maybe 2.5 seconds of fuel just to top off.
Well, guys, message from race control at the moment. There is no penalty at the moment, I reiterate, for the leaving the pit box from Graham Rahal with the fuel hose still inserted. However, it will be under review at the conclusion of this event.
A little bit of damage here to the wheel pod there, and that on the right rear you can see that just taking the number decal off. But a little bit of damage. I mean, Sato has been in the thick of it all afternoon.
Looks like they're going to have to change the rear bumper section. The guy was wiggling that, and it looked pretty loose. It was shaking around, yeah. So they are going to take the opportunity now under yellow and make this change.
Yeah, it'll be a whole wing change,
good opportunity to maybe take some downforce off or do something to make his cars quick, possibly make it quicker. He's been able to come through the field a couple times now. It's taking a while, this one.
And Paul, as you said, changing now that rear wing. They've already had to change the nose after Takuma said he got chopped by Sage Karam and had damage earlier in the race. He was able to come back from that incident. Now, once again, he said Sage got into the rear of him. So like you said, kind of two magnets. But again, another stop. This is going to shuffle him to the back of the pack, and he's going to have to work his way forward yet again. Jan?
Kelly, while you're looking at what's happening in the pits, it's hard for me to understand how race control needs to wait till after the race to decide what to do with Graham Rahal, because it was quite clear, there's video evidence that he left with equipment engaged. It was a safety issue, and the rules are fairly clear that if they determine, the stewards, that that was unsafe, which I think is very clear, that there's a penalty coming. So I'm not quite sure what else you would need to see, because you want this penalty to be done now, Paul, don't you? You don't want to wait till after the race.
Well, I would think so. I mean, they've been giving out a lot of midweek penalties and fines and things like that and points, but clearly this is a pit infraction and would typically be a drive-through penalty, right?
Yes, they have a variance, but certainly anytime it's an unsafe, that is the definition to me of an unsafe situation. That could obviously have burst into flames, and I'm just not sure what else needs to be reviewed in this case.
Yeah. Ready to go back to racing after our third full course caution. Green flies, and out in front is Marco Andretti.
Look at Charlie. He's been nowhere all day, and now he's coming down the inside here, moving his way forward. He's a guy that loves this side-by-side racing.
That's the green and blue car there, the Novo Nordisk Levermeer car. One of the squad of Chip Ganassi racing cars. Look at Ryan Hunter-Reay on the outside in the yellow machine for Andretti Autosport running high. Down low it's Marco Andretti, then Will Power, Juan Pablo Montoya, Ryan Briscoe's in the background. Scott Dixon is still very much in the mix.
Watching these cars go around here, it's like staged acrobatic flying, but nobody seems to know what the other guy's going to do. They're not on the radio with each other. It's just like mad chaos.
200 down, 50 laps to go here at Auto Club Speedway Fontana. What a race it's been today. Here comes the points leader, Montoya. The Indy 500 winner puts his nose ahead and goes high.
Look at Hunter-Reay in the middle line, Power on the bottom, Dixon up top. Champions, 4 champions running running 4 abreast coming through the corner.
Briscoe staying low, working his way forward. Lost a little bit of momentum, but don't discount Briscoe from running that low line.
Ryan Hunter-Reay in a very rare situation in 2015.
Come on, Ryan, get in the
running
lead.
to the front. RHR, here he comes. This is uncharted territory in 2015. It's been a miserable season for the former champ and Indy 500 winner. Now Dixon down the inside, 3 abreast and 4 wide. Can you believe what we've seen today in California?
It's that low line again, Lee. The low line is where the pace is, and now Briscoe. Look at this, Briscoe now running P4.
And he was all the way at the back of the field, had to make a change on the rear bumper. Now he's all the way back forward, so he has a very, very strong car. Look at up to 4th now.
For the last 5 laps or so, Briscoe's been working that low line, just keeps putting his nose out, just seeing what's around, but that is where the pace is. It is right down low, but you've got to be careful. You can't run there for long.
Briscoe back, or Hunter-Reay back to the lead. Let's see if he can cross the line in the lead. He has a nice gap as Briscoe comes with him on the low line.
Briscoe's going to make P2 any time now.
Oh, Sage Kérem high. Marco, Dixon, Kanaan.
Briscoe gets squeezed. Power forces through. Kanaan down low. Montoya up high. And Andretti right in the middle. Let's talk about our man out in front, though, Kev.
First laps led this year for the champion from 2012 and last year's Indy 500 winner. They decided to start all over this weekend. This is a brand new, totally rebuilt car. You can even see there are different shades of yellow if you look close at this car. The Hondas, yes, have not been as strong, but said we can't complain because we haven't been the best Honda. That's our goal. Right now, they're the best of everyone.
1, 2, 3, line astern. Kanaan pulls to the right to find his way through. Power also pulls right to take that high line, but I don't think that's where the speed in the track is.
He's got the momentum now. I think he'll pull by Hunter-Reay here and pull into the lead. Hunter-Reay has been pretty good off of 3 and 4, keeping it low here, but as he surges ahead into the corner. But look at Montoya now coming around on the top.
Briscoe down low as well. The Schmidt-Peterson Honda, the gold car, as he runs right alongside Will Power, Montoya, Andretti, and Rahal now back in the mix.
And Rahal came back through the field pretty quick. He was at the back, now he's all the way back at the front again. So
watch Briscoe, watch Briscoe now. Out, pulls out, he's got that low line.
Outside.
Any second now, Briscoe is going to be leading this race.
And that was a Ryan Hunter-Reay style move on how he won the Indy 500 last year. Down on that low line, Ryan Briscoe now puts the arrow machine ahead.
Look at that, look at that. Oh. Briscoe's been working that for 10 laps.
Inside, 3 inside.
That was almost 5 wide.
5 wide.
Wow. Kanaan says, I can see you. I can see where.
No room there, Montoya. He had to back out of it there. He was trying to squeeze between Power and the wall, and it was just running out of space.
Credit to the drivers. They have been rock stars today. Incredible performance from the Verizon IndyCar Series drivers.
On board with Montoya. But Montoya is not really in this fight right now, but remember what he said right at the start of this race. Be patient, be patient.
Look at Rahal on the bottom. He almost touches tires with Hunter-Reay.
Briscoe and Power, side by side, former Penske teammates.
Right in the middle of the track is a good place to be. But there's no doubt that low line is the fast line.
If you can keep it there.
Bingo.
The momentum is on the top, the shortest distance is on the bottom, and anywhere in between you can make a pass.
Yeah.
And Marco Andretti from mid-line to high line, and here it comes again, the Andretti Autosport Honda around Kanaan, looking for that position as he hunts down Will Power. Do not count Marco Andretti out of this one. What a day he's had. You're watching IndyCars on NBCSN, and one of the most exhilarating races we have seen in a long, long time. And it's kind of got that record-setting feel to it today, and we could well do it. An IndyCar Series record as far as lead changes is 73. Coincidentally, it happened at this track back in 2001. We've logged 67 already. We are on record-setting pace for the amount of lead changes, and it just seems par for the course today.
And you think this is intense racing just sitting here watching it. As a driver, I've done this in the past, Steve, and you ask me, what is it like? Is it physical? Is it mental? And this is just adrenaline overload. When you get done with this, you're just completely drained mentally of all your senses, and it's hard to sleep because your mind just keeps going and going and replaying everything that happened in the race.
Briscoe with a view of car number 8, a car that he used to drive, now occupied by Sage Karam, the 20-year-old rookie. Firestone telemetry shows us some important numbers on Briscoe's car as Karam maintains that position. Will Power, Andretti, Kanaan, and then Karam and Briscoe. Robin?
PT's talking about how close everything is. PT, how does this compare to the late 90s when you had the Hanford device in kart? I remember Zanardi hated it because everybody kept passing each other. It looks like a different kind of a pass with these cars, though.
Yeah, I mean, the racing is a tighter pack now. The speeds were higher then simply because we had much more horsepower. But this, like I said, this is just adrenaline overload for these guys. You're just on the edge all the time in this race.
The jostling, the maneuvering, the positioning has been spectacular. We've had 3 cautions for a total of 32 laps. The most spectacular teammates at CFH Racing coming together. Helio Castro Neves was involved in the first accident, in the first yellow. But it came after 130 odd laps. The opening stanza to this race, almost more than the opening half, was scintillating.
Incredible to watch these cars. It's like fighter jets fighting each other. Typically you'd have jets, two jets fighting each other. Here we have a pack of 23 of them all flying in formation here, just moving and bobbing and weaving. It's just incredible racing.
Just the 3 retirements. We've got the top 16, 17 cars on the lead lap. Marco Andretti to the low side now on Will Power.
Just pulls out, gets that little bit of a draft. You pull out into the air and there's a big draft, of course. Just enough to take that low line on board with Graham.
You see Graham Rahal now pulling his way back up into the lead group after that disastrous pit stop. No penalty on that pit stop, so he's coming along pretty good here. Definitely has a shot at winning this.
Guys, let's check in with Kelly Stavis for a moment for an update on that situation involving Graham Rahal. Kel?
And that fueling debacle was just human error, plain and simple. Ricardo Note suspecting that the fueler wanted to make sure it was topped off and just made a mistake going back in that second time. So no one instructed him to do it. It was just a mistake. The team took it in stride. No one passing the blame on this one.
Boy, oh boy, well that is incredibly unfortunate. It is a catastrophic thing to do. It is such an orchestrated ballet of maneuvers down there in the pit stop. Everybody is keying on everybody else. But the mechanic who waves Graham out into the pit lane, any of those guys on the right front, they will see the fuel hose come off, and that is their signal to indicate to the driver, go, go, go. The refueler should never go back on without making it abundantly clear to the rest of the team what he has to do. Something.
It looks like a piece of bodywork.
It looks like a wheel
bumper. Yeah, bumpers in the back straight away there. And this will set the stage for the shootout here, and it'll be gangbusters after that.
Yeah. Rahal running side by side with Kanaan. Andretti still chasing after Will Power. Who does it belong to? That's the question we need answered.
Yellow flag, yellow flag.
And that's understandable. 4th yellow on the day, just to collect that. There it is off to the left. Driver's left, is it Carlos Munoz?
Yeah, he's missing the right side.
Let's have a look. Here we go. There's going to be contact between he and Scott Dixon. Is it? No?
Came up in front of him and Dixon cut down
there it
and
is.
took the bumper with him, and that will probably have caused some damage to Dixon's front wing as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it must have done, Paul. That's quite a sizable chunk of bodywork, isn't it?
And
Those
he's just
wheel pods.
slid right up in front of him, did a slide job, and Dixon cut back down to go by him again and took the bumper with him. Looks like there's no damage to Dixon's car. It looks okay.
It really does.
Yeah. Very lucky.
Yeah.
So while we're under this fourth full course caution, we are joined in the NBC SN announce booth by the president of competition for the Verizon IndyCar Series Championship, Mr. Derek Walker. Derek, welcome. And we have to just get to the business at hand, and that is the Rahal situation. Kelly Stavis checked in with the team. They put their hand up and said, look, it was just human error. The refueler just went back in a second time of his own volition. However, no penalty yet has been assessed for Rahal or the 15 car. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, exactly. The stewards looked at that and they considered that it was a post-race penalty. It certainly looked pretty scary there, but it's going to be reviewed and there will be a penalty coming, I can assure you. They just didn't levy a penalty that affected the competition on track.
All right, throng of pit stops coming now. Keep in mind, this will be the final one. This will be the final one of the day, Kev.
Marco Andretti trying to win for the third time and the first time in 4 years. Final pit stop. He comes in as the leader. They've had a good car, a bad car. Right now it's good again, and he's back out, Jan.
Will Power also having his service. He's going with sticker Firestones. We look to see he's clearly he has the lead leaving, but there's a gaggle of cars all fighting for that second and third spot.
Race off pit road. Power did well. Andretti.
That's the critical stop of the race, the final stop. Power out front. He's been on that lighter fuel or the heavier fuel level because he was off strategy, which was an advantage for him. He was long gone.
Here's the race. There's Marco. There's the Rahal. There's Kanaan. Look at Pagenaud closest to us here, and Briscoe on the far side. Whew. It has been a scramble today. Carlos Munoz, after being collected by Scott Dixon's got a new rear assembly on. We'll squeeze in a quick break. This is going to be a frantic run to the checkered flag.
Oh, wow, look at this. Talk about subtle. This is anything but subtle. Whoa!
That's the Detroit way.
Whoa!
Oh my God.
Inside.
Inside.
Up inside. 3 inside.
That was almost 5 wide.
5 wide.
Wow.
And that's the reason why we've just hit a new IndyCar Series record. Wait for it, 75 lead changes.
This has been intense racing for everybody involved. It's going to be interesting after the race to see how the drivers feel about this. I know they're not crazy about the pack racing, but man, is it ever exciting to watch.
And this guy is super exciting. The two-time Indy 500 winner, points leader, Juan Pablo Montoya. Listen to this radio transmission.
I think we need to put a wing in it, you know what I mean? So they see if I can run the bottom, then we can win.
Put some more wing in it. If I can do that, I can run the bottom and I can win.
He likes your line, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to have been the fast line. To me, when we've been watching it, Paul, it is the fastest way around. But as you were explaining to me yesterday, boy, you can't live down there for very long without wing on the car. And that's exactly what Montoya is calling for here. Give me more downforce. I can run that inside line down low. I can win the race.
Still under yellow for the 4th time. And that's what I was just talking about when we came back from the break. So, as far as the most all-time lead changes, we've achieved it today. And we've achieved it in very exciting and rapid fashion. What a day it's been at Auto Club Speedway Fontana. So, the bodywork has been cleaned up. The track is ready to go, and we have got but 23 laps to go when they hit the line here. Will Power, the reigning #1 in IndyCar, will see that green flag first, but he's got a couple of very fast Hondas hunting him down. Andretti and Rahal, here they come.
2 Hondas wanting to get around this Chevy of Power. Could this be Honda's day? They've been struggling so far this year, only have 2 wins on the board, and they are looking for this big super speedway win.
Kanan down low, look at that blue car there. Rahal up high, Kanan up high. This is awesome, no more fuel needed, no more tyres needed. This is a raw, flat-out race to the checkered flag. Marco Andretti takes the low line now.
Protect those tyres, protect those tyres.
Look at Montoya.
The Indy 500 winner wants the action. And Simon Pagenaud right around the outside. The pole sitter, the new Penske man. He wants to win for the captain here in California.
The speed's not there, Lee. The speed is not there at that line. You've got to get down. It's down inside. Look at him now. Look at Will Power running down very low.
But look at Sage on the top side coming around high. You're saying it's on the bottom, but look at that red and white car coming around the outside.
The rookie is mixing it with the big boys. Look at him go. Andretti drops low. Oh, Briscoe has to check up. Let's ride with Ryan. Almost collecting, and he has to go below the white line, not to hit Rahal.
To get out of the throttle there, and he's been passed by 4 or 5 cars. He was fighting for 3rd, and now he's but 10th.
Look at Power go straight down to that low line. Here comes his Penske teammate and arch rival.
Montoya is there. Montoya now right in the middle of the track.
The top 2 from this year's Indianapolis 500 going at it here in the second 500-mile race of the year at Auto Club Speedway. 3 wide now. Rahal, Andretti, and Kanan.
Lap 230, 20 laps to go.
Watch that red car, watch that red car. It's got the low inside line.
Montoya on the top. Rahal getting the draft off of Power. Kanan getting the draft. They both pull to the right.
Almost 4 wide. Boy, Power makes his intentions clear down the back, doesn't he, on the run to 3.
Look at Sage on the top with the momentum.
Apparently 15 of Graham Rahal is getting a warning from race control. Perhaps just to tidy it up just a little.
How do you tidy it up when you're trying to thread the needle through a pack of cars? It's almost impossible to do.
And at 210 miles an hour, whoa! Power down low again. Rahal in the draft.
Warning for blocking. Warning for blocking now.
Rahal low. Rahal is going to be P2 any second now.
That's going to fire him up. Don't discount Ryan Briscoe in that gold arrow car for Schmidt Peterson Motorsports, filling in for James Hinchcliffe. Briscoe has been brilliant today and continues to come back. Hunter Ray's not done. Dixon's there now in the mix. Montoya fighting back with the rookie Sage Karam.
Look at Briscoe on the bottom. He's been on that bottom line all day as he moves into second.
Yeah.
Tony Kanaan, who won here last year in the season finale, he's not done with yet. For Chip Ganassi in that NTT Data car, it's one Chevy, one Honda. Power, Briscoe. Then we pick up Kanaan and Montoya. Hey, that red and white car, the pilot of that is a 20-year-old American rookie, Sage Karam, putting up a super performance here in the closing laps of the MAV TV 500.
Kanaan goes high. It is Power Kanaan. Kanaan doing good stuff.
Power was really protecting the bottom as he sees he blocks the bottom line to let anybody get for underneath of him as Kanaan makes a move to the outside.
Kev, what have you got on Briscoe?
Running third right behind that tandem. Remember, he made contact early in the race with Castroneves, fell to the back. He was trying to cheer up the team, saying, we've got a great car, we can still get there. He also told me before the race, as he dipped to the low side of Kanaan and working on power, he said, I can run on the low line, maybe better than anybody else, and I'm good on old tires. That might be the difference as Briscoe goes to the lead.
Pushes past fellow Aussie Will Power. Now the rundown. Watch Will Power here. He'll get out of the draft, but there's not an avenue there. He can't go to his favourite line. He's stuck in the middle between Kanaan and Briscoe.
Stay low, Briscoe. Stay low, stay low.
High is Ray Hall. Karam's not out of it. Hunter Ray and Dixon.
Look at Montoya. He had a run off the bottom there, but there's a log jam.
Stay on target. Stay low, Ryan.
Remember the Indianapolis 500. Juan Pablo Montoya was spectacular. The way he drove through the field from 30th to win for the second time, and he saved the best till last in the closing laps.
Push it now, push it now, push it now, stay low. It's 15 laps to go. Power slightly ahead.
3 outside, now 3 outside.
4 wide. But Ryan Briscoe staying with that low line. Stay low.
Look at Dixon. Watch that orange and black car. The Degree machine for Chip Ganassi Racing.
Power fighting back. Power right in the middle of the track. He has the advantage, but Briscoe, you've got to stay low, son.
Well,
stay
Montoya's
low.
got the low line now. He's had to move up the track into about the middle.
14 laps to go.
And any of these guys tries to go low, but he can't.
Kanaan trying to fight past. He's trying to push Briscoe and take command of that low line. Briscoe, you cannot relieve that line now. You've got to stay right there.
Ray Hall goes high, trying that option, and all of a sudden arriving on the scene is Takuma Sato. Look out, because he's been racy today. He's led 31 laps, Takuma Sato. He wants in on this action.
Ryan, you've got to get low, get low, get low. You're too high. You won't be able to do it there. You'll lose the pace. 13 laps to go. Look at them split left and right.
5 wide.
Looking inside.
Sato
on the warm-up lane.
Sato wants that inside line. Briscoe, son, you cannot give it up.
Ray Hall has been spectacular up high.
13 laps to go.
He comes down right alongside Will Power and squishes him to the white line.
Power knows where that line is. Power has been trying to fight around the outside. It isn't going to work well. If you want to win this race, you've got to get right down low.
Dixon's come on the scene now.
He's been biding his time, sitting back there in 5th and 6th, and all of a sudden, Will Power's been shuffled back to 5th.
12 to go.
Ryan Briscoe, Graham Rahal we ride with. Scott Dixon and Juan Pablo Montoya, and down low goes Kanaan in the blue car. The NTT Data machine. Wow, Dixon then jinks a little bit. And up against the wall is Will Power.
Briscoe remains down low. Don't give it up. Do not give it up. Wow, the speed of the cars around the outside. Yes, that is the place to be if you're in the lead in the middle of that track.
Tell you what, I think Ray Hall's car is very strong. As he pulls into the lead, they almost touch tires.
Man, that'll take just a couple of
comes on the outside.
2 outside.
Coming up on the final 10 laps.
Don't give up that line. Everybody wants Briscoe's line. They're all trying to find a way around him on the outside, on the underside.
Graham Rahal has won 1 IndyCar race in his career. and it was so long ago. He's sick of being asked that question of when you're going to win another one.
He's got the train of cars behind him, and there is a push effect, and he's cleared Briscoe now and can take over that line.
Watch your inside, Ryan. It'll come back to you, it'll come back to you, it'll come back to you.
Briscoe now, oh, they draw wheel. Oh, there it goes, it's a big one. Oh, and it's Takuma Sato and Will Power inside the final 10 laps.
I think this will end the race under yellow, or if they don't red flag this, because that will take a little while to clean up.
Goodness gracious.
Perhaps you could say it's not surprising. The boys were going at it pretty hard.
I'll tell you what, at some point the levee has to break. When you're running like that in that kind of formation, it can only go on for so long. Will Power throws his steering wheel from the car. He knows that this is critical to the championship with Montoya now.
Wow.
He's pissed.
Goodness gracious me.
Sato and Power out. And it's a very animated Will Power, the reigning series champion.
He's got some issue going on there.
He's just saying, get me out, help me out.
He's not happy.
Oh,
whoa,
yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. You're right.
I know you're upset, guy, but these are the guys that will save your life when you need them.
Yeah. You know, you go from racing, Paul, you've done it, you're racing at 210 miles an hour for an hour and a half plus, and then you come down to that, bang, there's an awful lot of emotions and adrenaline flowing at that point, but you have to keep your composure.
What a day, what a performance from Takuma Sato today. Led 31 laps and was spectacular. And as you can see, he and Power walking away. They're not only fatigued, they're a little bit dazed. This was a big hit.
Sato got loose, big correction, and just sliding up the track, and then Dixon, they touch, he bounce, pinball, and that's it.
Yeah.
And folks, we reiterate the point. This is in excess of 200 miles per hour.
Yeah. Just got the rear of the car loose, didn't he, old Sato?
Yeah, he's sliding there, comes down the track now. Dixon's coming up. He bounces, and that's, I mean, there's no room there.
Hey, I mean, that, to me, that is racing. I mean, that's just eventually, as you said, PT, that's what's going to happen. At these speeds.
That was a hard hit by Sato, too.
Yeah, these speeds.
Much harder than Power's hit, because he turned sideways, and look at that. That was a hard hit. And all credit to Indycar, because that was at about 215 miles an hour going backwards, and the car didn't lift off the ground.
That's Lauren Canaan, Tony's wife, looking on anxiously. And that's Liz Power, Will's wife, who traditionally doesn't watch, particularly towards the end of the races, and she's asking what happened. So it was a fast, it was brutal, and it was a big contact, Jan.
Yes, and Tim Cindric has just seen those replays as well. I know that you have been on the radio all day, and we're going red flag, by the way, while we do talk to Tim about that incident. You've been on the radio with Will all day. I know he wasn't happy about this close racing, but this looked like a pinball situation. He got stuck in the middle.
Yeah, without a doubt. I don't know if you could really say that was anybody's fault there. You know, it's really disappointing because we sat down after Las Vegas with IndyCar, and we all sat there and discussed the fact that we could never have a race like we had there in terms of the pack racing that goes on or used to go on in IndyCar. And why we're here doing it today, I have no idea. You know, fortunately, these guys look like they're okay, and hopefully we can get through the rest of this race. But, you know, it was very obvious to us, the first practice here, this is the way it was going to be. You know, we voiced our concerns. Our drivers voiced our concerns, and you know, we're here doing this like we are today. And I'm sure it's fun to watch, but you know, running open wheel cars like this is very difficult.
Thank you, Tim.
AJ Foy has been watching his driver Takuma Sato fight back from the back a couple of times. Didn't end well there. We just heard from Tim Cindric, who said he was questioning this style of pack racing. What do you make of it?
Well, you know, we had a great car today. He did a great job driving it, and this wasn't our day.
What do you think of this style of racing? Are you enjoying the entertainment value, or does it seem too dangerous? Cindric was questioning it.
I enjoy this type of racing when I was doing it. It's not that much fun watching, but no, I think it's great racing. You know, at least you can race. And that's what I like about racing. When you can race, you can race. And it just wasn't our day. We had a great car. He come from the back there twice. And it just wasn't our day. And when they're all 3 or 4 breaths like that, and the air disturbs, it kind of moves you around. And kind of Dixon and him got together, and he went up and hit Will Power. But, you know, that's just racing. So it just wasn't our day.
Just wasn't their day. Thank you, AJ.
Thank you.
All right, want to show you something. Great to hear from Super Tex. We are under red, as you may have heard Jan say earlier, under red flag conditions, so we can attempt to finish under green. Now, when that collision occurred, this is how far Graham Rahal was ahead. Watch closely. Briscoe on the low line, Kanaan on the high side. Look how close this is as they cross the line. I mean, there was hardly anything between it. There was this much between them.
Expect that to be the finish at the end.
This day continues to deliver high drama. And Graham Rahal has been in the middle of that. Remember, we heard that there could be a penalty coming his way post-race for that hiccup on pit lane. We'll be back. For those of you just joining us, we are under red flag conditions here at Auto Club Speedway Fontana here in California for round 11 of the Verizon Indycar Series. It has been a spectacular, drama-filled day. We have seen some pretty spectacular crashes, but we have seen some phenomenal racing and moves. And it's all going to come down to a last scramble for the final 5 laps. So this is the reason we're under red. There was a serious crash on the front straight here between Takuma Sato and Will Power. And there was a great scrap going on at the front between Ryan Briscoe, Graham Rahal and Tony Kanaan. And that was just a few positions ahead. Scott Dixon on the right, Takuma Sato in the middle. It was a ping-pong situation. And watch this hit from Sato. Oof, side impact was huge. he and Will Power crashing at in excess of 200 miles per hour. Both drivers, incidentally, were able to get out and walk away. Time to check in with Kevin Lee. Kev?
Sam Schmidt is the car owner for Ryan Briscoe, running in second. And also James Jakes has had a strong day in the top 10. What do you make of what Ryan has been able to do in a fill-in situation in that 5?
Just fantastic. I mean, obviously a true professional, and still a little frustrated by our drive-through when nobody else gets one all day long. But other than that, it luckily hasn't cost us the end of the day, and hopefully we can have a 3-lap race to the finish here. Definitely got to be exciting for the fans and people on TV, because this is a hell of a race.
Ryan Briscoe is going to have one more shot when we go back to green after the red. Stay tuned. Briscoe will be chasing Graham Rahal. Stay with us from Fontana.
So not far away from seeing the cars roll off pit lane here at Auto Club Speedway for a final 3-lap shootout. The man sitting at the front is Graham Rahal, who made up 18 positions from his starting spot and had some pretty strong thoughts on why he should be at the front when this race was red flagged. It's a little bit scratchy there. It was a little bit scratchy, but to repeat what Graham said is, I need to be out in front. I was definitely ahead of those two.
I don't know if you want to be out in front coming to the flag. I think that's a disadvantage, Steve.
Well, we've seen that all day long, haven't we? That the guys have been able to pick up a tow from the car ahead of them and then dive down again on that inside line. So I agree with you, PT. Starting at the front for this shootout for 5 laps is probably not the place to be. Second, maybe third.
You know, right now, there's every car that's in the top 7 has led at some point in this race. So picking any car out of this top 7 is almost impossible. It's like going to the roulette table and just picking a number. This is going to be insane.
Yep. Here we go. So there's going to be 2 laps. When they see green, it will be a 3-lap sprint to decide who wins. Rahal, you may have noticed that graphic. I mentioned it earlier in the show. It's been forever since he's won. Rahal has only won once, and that was all the way back in 2008, some 125 races ago. Here's Takuma Sato with Kelly. Kel?
Who was in the middle as the cars went 3 wide. What happened?
It was 3 wide. I was hearing 3 wide from my spotter. Coming out to turn 4, Will was leading. I was in the middle and Dixie was inside. And I thought, okay, 2 respectable guys, no problem. And the 2/3 of the car, I was there, but just seems to be Dixie just coming up and then up and then up, and it was just close the door. I couldn't do anything, just a ping pong for 2 cars, and then we tangled.
Disappointing end to a valiant day for Takuma. Thank you.
Well, it's good to see him in reasonable spirits but good health after that huge contact. So here we go. Rub your hands together. Anything's going to happen here, and anyone could win.
Tires.
This is interesting.
Pagenaud, Hunter-Reay. Ryan Hunter-Reay has won a race pulling this strategy before. And then it looks like the rookie Sage Karam as well.
So what they're trying to do here is take on fresh tires, and of course it will be very short order to see if they will actually catch up the pack in time. If they can catch up, the new tires will be great, but will they have enough time if they go green to make this work? This is a big gamble by many people up and down pit road.
This is a huge gamble to change tires at this point in the race, because those guys that haven't come in, if they can just get their tires up to temperature, Paul, in 1 lap.
Well, I think they'll catch now if they can run flat out and be up to speed. By the time that these guys are going, as they come, they're going to stay on it now and try to time this restart, which could be an advantage if you get a big run.
Gabby Chavez is saying, look, I'm staying out of the way. I'm not on the lead lap. You guys go ahead. You're racing for more than me. You get at it. At the front of this field is 3rd-generation racer Graham Rahal, who will see the green flag first. He's got a hungry pack behind, and the first one in the line is Ryan Briscoe. Here come the guys on those new tires at the back. Keep an eye on them. I think Sage Karam got the best run.
Yeah, he definitely got a run. He was going when they waved the green. He was already up to speed. But look at Kanaan coming through the middle.
Montoya down low. Kanaan there. Briscoe high. They dive for that inside line.
Is outside.
Briscoe knows where he needs to be.
Come on, Rahal. Hold that bottom. Don't let him take it away from you. He's going to get a little help. They're 3 wide behind. But look at Sage Karam with the fresh tires and the momentum.
2 laps to go from here. 4 miles will decide this race. Up high is Marco Andretti and Sage Karam. Here they come. Andretti was one of those ones on fresh tires.
Fresh tires, momentum off of the restart. They were up and running and up to speed when they caught the lead group. Andretti coming on the high side, cutting to the bottom.
Watch this, down low, and Rahal closes the door.
That's where you've got to be, Marco. That's where you've got to be. You've got those fresh tires, but not in the middle of the track. You've got to dive down low. You've seen what Briscoe could have done.
This is it. 1 lap. Oh, there goes Ryan Hunter-Reay and Ryan Briscoe. And Briscoe flies. Briscoe flips and flies. On the grass, the 2 Ryans came together.
That looked horrible.
And that's a very abrupt end to what was a terrific day for Ryan Briscoe. He gives both thumbs up, which is a good sign. That was wild.
I think, yes, Graham Rahal.
It's a mess on the front straight, Graham. Slowly.
What a wild end.
Graham, come on around. You're the leader.
Wow.
Good. Keep your head in the game.
So, caution and checkers. Caution and checkers at the same time for Graham Rahal, who ends a 125 race drought. It's his 2nd career victory. Wow.
What an extraordinary race for Graham Rahal. Had a very poor qualifying session. To my eyes, he himself didn't seem too disappointed with the speed he achieved yesterday, PT. No. And then that awful situation in the pits with that refueling situation.
Briscoe and Hunter-Reay out of their respective cars. And here it is.
2 cars here. They just start bouncing off of each other here. Hunter-Reay was going for a gap. It closed, and he came down into Brian, and the grass just caught the car and just flipped it violently.
Goodness me.
And very shortly thereafter, Ryan Briscoe gives the double thumbs up. Watch this, just a gap that closed again. It's Karam coming down, Hunter-Reay in the middle. And Ryan Briscoe, just the innocent bystander there down on the inside, and that nose just dove in like a dart into the grass.
Absolutely.
And flipped Briscoe. So again, similar to the Power and Sato incident, a lucky escape for both the Ryans, Hunter-Reay and Briscoe.
Oh, that was just intense, very, very violent crash. And it just goes to show you how safe these cars are.
This is Briscoe at the end of that violent flip. And he says, I'm okay.
What a relief to see that.
Mixed emotions. On the other side of it is Graham Rahal. Finally, that victory, that second victory has arrived. All right, let's check in with Jan Beekes. Jan?
And a roller coaster of emotions. Will, you just saw that replay. First of all, you're okay, but you were concerned because that was a very similar situation to what you had.
Yeah, I'm glad Ryan looks like he's okay. He gave a thumbs up, what are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, we went in there and told him it'll be pack racing, and that was a Vegas situation right there. And I'm just so happy that no one was really hurt. And, it's amazing. You get the NASCAR boys, they ask for less downforce. You get half our guys, they ask for more. So, it's just someone's got to take responsibility for how this day has panned out. And, as exciting as it is, it's insane because you can't get away. You cannot get away, and you have to take massive risks to gain track position. But, man, that's crazy racing. It's crazy. We just don't need another incident like we had at Vegas, and running like this, it'll happen. It's just a matter of time.
A very emotional Will Power, and as he said, thankfully, everyone's okay, apparently.
What Will Power is alluding to there is the horrendous crash situation that occurred in 2011 that took the life of Dan Weldon, and Power was right in the middle of that accident. We can't take anything away from this man, though. The celebration in victory lane for Graham Rahal and Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. He started towards the back of this field in 19th and made up 18 positions to drive to victory lane. He's finished runner-up on numerous occasions and said, you know what, it's going to come. It's going to come. We will get there eventually. And this is the man who qualified poorly yesterday and said, you know what, I'm okay with that speed because we've got a good race car. And look at the relief on Graham Rahal's face, the winner at Auto Club Speedway Fontana.
Extraordinary day.
Kelly's right there.
And you know how eager he is to get out and shake the hands and give hugs to all of his crew members who helped get him here to victory lane. It wasn't a perfect day for them for sure, but he fought through it, fought from the back of the pack, really starting 19th to pick up his second career win, first on an oval. Graham, could you have dreamed it would come here at this track on a day like this?
No, I didn't. Our weakness has been these ovals, and I said to my guys this morning, the next 3 races are going to really define our year. And, I knew yesterday the car was pretty good in race trim. It was just in qualifying, for some reason, we couldn't find any speed. But, I can't thank Mike and Dave and my dad and everybody for believing in me, and Steak and Shake for coming on board. I feel like they're the good luck charm. This year's, they came on board and this thing turned right around. And DA Lubricants, everybody else. I mean, you don't know how good this feels. It's been so long coming, and it's awesome.
You had a moment there on pit lane. There was an issue with the refueling. At that point, did you think perhaps your day was over?
Well, when we went back to 16th, I was definitely a little worried there because who knows? I knew my car was really good. It wasn't the quickest up front. Frankly, I struggled when I got to the front to be as fast as the Chevys, but I know those last couple laps worked, hung on there on the bottom line, and I'm just proud of these guys because honestly, everybody, all the fans say, oh, well, Graham's just driving different. It's not me. It's these guys right here that make this thing happen, and I couldn't be more honored and thankful to have a group like this.
Well, congratulations. A phenomenal finish for Graham Rahal. Kevin?
Tony Kanaan comes up second, and you think you might have been in front when that yellow came out.
It's hard to tell. I think I was, but, obviously
when you're like that and that close rate, you never know. So I don't know. Obviously, it was a crazy race, so I'm glad that I'm in one piece. Yeah, start-finish line, yeah, I guess. But I don't know when the yellow came out, but I guess, yeah, at start-finish line, he was ahead.
It goes with the scoring lines throughout
Probably,
the track,
yeah,
so we'd have to.
Congratulations
go
to him.
How do you deal with this racing? Will Power and Tim Cindric have been pretty pointed. What do you think?
I mean, it's a new package, so we keep guessing, and we guessed it on the wrong side. I think it was a great race for the fans, but you know, I get criticized a lot when I talk about this kind of things, but people are not in the race car to see, you know, 215 miles an hour doing this. It's I would like you guys to try, the people that criticize us. So it's tough, man. It's stressful, and it makes you think if you still want to keep doing this like that. So hopefully we get together and we come up with a better solution, and you know, we'll move on.
Thank you. Great run.
Tony Kanaan, the runner-up in today's 500-mile event. There's your race winner, Graham. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by DA Lubricant Company. Performance engineered lubricants since 1919. Visit dalube.com. Well, quite the eventful afternoon, quite the amazing race. Let's hear from a man who was right in the thick of it. Third place for Marco Andretti. He's with Jan.
And Marco Andretti was many times up at the front today with some aggressive moves from the top. We have heard some of the drivers, Will Power in particular, saying he said this was crazy. What's your view?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely crazy. You know, pack racing's always like that. You know, you got guys that just don't want to back off, and guys going forward, guys going backwards, inside, outside. I mean, I find it quite fun, but you know, it is extremely dangerous. But you know, that's what we all sign up for. But I think we put on a heck of a show for the fans, that's for sure.
Your car from the beginning of the weekend just suited you. You said you were proud of your team because they stuck with it, but you've been comfortable all weekend.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were pretty good. I mean, we sort of shot ourselves in the foot there at the end. I shouldn't have went low. I should have known Graham was going to do that. I had a full head of steam. If I would have went high, I think we could have won the race. But I'm glad everybody's all right there at the end. That was crazy.
All right. Thank you, Marco. Great job.
Thank you.
And just behind Marco Andretti, 4th and 5th goes to Juan Pablo Montoya and the rookie Sage Kérem. I'll start with you, Juan. Another top 5 finish on a 500-mile race. Fans were certainly treated to quite a show, but what was it like from the cockpit?
Honestly, I felt it was a little too stupid. You know what I mean? What I told Indycar yesterday is, you know, we shouldn't be racing like this. This is full pack racing, and sooner or later somebody's going to get hurt, so we don't need to be doing this. You know, we had a hell of a show and everything, but you know, we did what we had to do. We had a hell of a car, and when Will crashed, another crashed. For me, you know what I mean, the only goal was finish ahead of Dixon, and we did that. So it's good, you know. Everybody in the PPG Chevy and Team Penske did a pretty good job again.
I don't know how aware you were of the issue with Graham Rahal on pit lane and a refueling issue, and they decided no penalty. Do you know anything about it? Do you have an opinion on it?
Don't know, and he drove a hell of a race. He deserves that win, I think.
All right, fair enough. And we'll turn it over to Sage Kérem now. Fantastic finish for you. What was it like from the get-go? You were up there mixing around with these veterans.
Yeah, well, it was good to lead my first laps. The Chevrolet Big Machine Comfort Revolution car, Chip Ganassi car has been quick all day. And, you know, to be mixing it up at the front after a season we've been having felt so good. And that's the confidence I need right there to go to the remaining races. And just so thrilled to get my crew a good result. They've been working their tails off, and, you know, it's finally paid off.
All right, a great building block for Sage Kérem. Kevin?
Well, best news of the day is after that frightening crash, Ryan Briscoe and Ryan Hunter-Reay are okay. Ryan has got a brief glimpse at the replay. Ryan Briscoe has not. We'll watch and talk us through it. Ryan, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Montoya to come up. He had a lane on the inside of him like that. I was just sitting next to, I'm not sure who it was, just waiting to get down to turn 1, and Montoya came right up and clipped the front of the car. So it's tough. I mean, you know, it was pack racing. It was crazy out there. See here, I'm just getting pushed down a little bit, and then boom, up comes Montoya. So I didn't have anywhere to go. I'm just glad Ryan's okay. That was a nasty flip that he took there. Could have gone a lot worse. So 1 lap to go. It figures we couldn't make it towards the finish, but it was going to look like a good finish for the DHL 28 car today. We turned some things around, and we'll look to do that again in Milwaukee. But glad this guy's all right.
You led laps for the first time this season and made great progress. And same for you. You went to the front, to the back, Ryan Briscoe, and got back to the front. As you watch this, how do you deal with that? Take us in the mind of a race car driver and how you see something like that and understand this is part of the job.
Well, first thing was to call my wife and tell her that I'm okay. I think she's more distraught than any of us here. But no, I mean, I'm just thankful that, you know, I'm okay. You know, no one, you know, made that happen intentionally or anything. I think the racing was so close all day. Unfortunately, something bad did happen, but we're all okay, and it's a testament to the safety of the cars. But I wish it didn't. You know, starting second on that restart, you know, really hoping to have a chance to win for this Aero Electronics car. It's not the way we want it to go out. I'm really proud of the guys. You know, all weekend we've been strong, and would have been really nice to bring a strong result home. But you know, at the same time, you know, I just want to keep wishing Hinch a quick recovery. And I know he's watching and doesn't like to see this happen, but we've got a good car, we've got a great team, and I think we're going to have a real shot at winning races this year.
Great run. We'll see you in Milwaukee.
Thank you.
Yeah, very pleasing to see both Ryans, Hunter-Reay and Briscoe, okay. We now take you to the championship.